everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is good to be back on the stream. I had thought about doing like a surprise weekend stream, but I just got busy doing stuff and things, so we're just back to our regularly scheduled Monday night programming. How's everybody doing? How's everyone doing? It's been a while. I missed you guys. Skip that ad. It's been a hot schminute, but I am excited to be back. I am so excited to finally open some Tekken packs. I am beyond stoked. Ooh, wait, I got a quick anecdote. About to say I should have had this more prepared, but I have it right here. I'm gonna get XP in 25 intervals, but I only get them in 5 intervals. What? XP? What are we talking about? Is this a stream thing that exists that I'm not familiar with? 'Cause it totally could be. I'm not gonna lie. Half the tools I use to stream, I have no idea what they do. So I don't know what you're talking about. I need to be educated. But I was at Locals Sunday, and I got to teach a couple people there how to play Universes, which is super sick and fun and awesome. And I had a blast doing it. It's a streaming thing. Okay, I have no idea what that is. I have no clue what that is or what that means. But I have to Google it. Taught some people how to play Universes. It's really fun, and they liked the game. And they're gonna start coming to Locals on Sundays, which is so exciting. And to reward myself, I had some store credit, so I went and picked up. I just grabbed 2 booster packs out of the thingy. I grabbed 2 Tekken 8 booster packs. My first ever Tekken 8 booster packs. I got an SR. I got this Zeus Unlimited SR. That's pretty good. But in the second pack, I got Alt Art Kazuya Mishima, dude. Look at this guy. Yo, he looks so cool. So now I'm like, shoot, I guess I have to build Kazuya, which I didn't really want to do, but I just realized he plays cards out of his remove pile. Oh, the way my lights work, this is not, I'll put it on camera in a second once we get to the box opening. I'll put it on camera. I'll put it on the camera in a second when we get to the, actually no, I'll just put it on camera now. Who am I joking? I'll just put it on camera now. I think this is in line. Yeah, Kazuya Mishima. And I was like, I don't really care about Kazuya Mishima, but then I realized he plays cards out of your remove pile. And all of the cards in my Shigaraki all-for-one challenger deck want to play cards from anywhere but the hand. So I actually kind of technically already have a bunch of cards that I could put in him. So like, that's kind of clutch. So maybe I do put together Kazuya because I got the altar. But I was gonna do out of the boxes we're opening, whatever alts we pull, I was gonna build those. But now I've already pulled the alts. We'll see. But yeah, I'm hoping people are excited for some box opening. Shoot, I meant to put this in the UVS Discord. I'm dumb as rocks. Hold on, I gotta go promote the stream, chat. I'm not good at this. Let me copy this link. Let me go into the UVS Discord. Because people love freaking box openings. So, you know, it's like, hey, I'm opening some boxes. I'm live right now opening some boxes. So, come hang out. And then we go bonk. And then I hopefully link the right thing. That should be good. W plug. Shit, I gotta plug the stream. I be forgetting sometimes. Actually, no, that's not even. I be forgetting all the times. I've never once promoted. I don't think I have promoted a stream in the time that I've like come back to streaming. I used to like would put it in like Discords and like tweet about it, but I have not done that in like ever. Low key for gore, and most of it's because like my stuff's all over the place. Like I'm not gonna go in the Cardfight Vanguard Discord and be like, come watch me play Kingdom Hearts Cardfight Vanguard players. Like that's stupid, right? But this is like one of the first straight card game things I've done in a while. So I was like, shoot, I should probably put that in the Discord where people that want to watch this thing lurk. I don't know. It's like, oops. Oops. Whoopsies. Whoopsies. I also got... Do I want to... Yeah. What's the best way to... Let me... There was a YouTube comment that I literally just saw on the casual video that I low-key, like, not want to... Oh, they replied. All right, cool. Let's go. Okay, bet. Actually, this is perfect. This actually works out great. This works out great. That I kind of wanted to talk about on stream, I'm not going to lie. It's, like, vaguely interesting. So let me pull this up really quick. And granted, I needed a little more, like, I didn't really know what they were asking me. So I was like, hey, man, come into the chat so I could elaborate. But I think this is still interesting enough. So someone commented on the most recent, on the casual format thing. Granted, nothing to do with casual formats, but it's like, it has the potential to be an interesting question. I just don't know what they're asking, or they did just reply, so I will get the answer now. But they said, dude, I want to get an expert's opinion. You feel, excuse me for saying expert. Yeah, I'm by no means an expert. I have mental issues. Strange phenomenon I always encounter is how people seem to have an aversion to the idea of a game teaching you how to build decks. I'm not talking about teaching you how to build good decks, that only comes with practice, but I always find it strange how games don't give you the tools to at least start doing that. But whenever I try to talk to people about this and try to understand how to solve this problem, I always encounter absolute rejection, as if it were wrong to ask the game to teach you this important part of it. Could you give me an explanation of why this happens? So, before I go to the reply, I replied, I'm not entirely sure what is being asked in this question, because I'm assuming what they're asking is like, why don't games teach you like deck building fundamentals? But that's in the category of how to build good decks, right? So if we're not talking about how to build good decks, I assume they just mean like the rules. So I replied with like, I don't know exactly what you're asking. I'm pretty sure every single game teaches you like the rules of deck building. I can't think of an example of a game where they don't. So let's read the reply and get a little bit of clarification, because this could become an interesting topic. Okay, it's a lot of reply. All right, let's dive in. Let's dive into it live, baby. Let's dive into it live. Maybe I shouldn't have promoted this in the UVS Discord, because they're gonna come into me talking about the deck building theory, and then we get to the unboxing. It's whatever. Okay. What I mean is, less teach me the deck building rules and more give me enough guidance tools to understand how I'm supposed to approach building a deck. Okay, this is kind of what I assumed they were asking. For example, if the game has several archetypes, synergies, or cards that naturally work together, why not give the player some way to discover or recognize those connections? Not necessarily by saying this is the best deck or by giving them a solved list, but by teaching them the basic process. These cards work together. This is kind of strategy archetype supports. Here's how you might structure around it, etc. I'm not asking the game to teach players how to build good decks. That's something you learn through experience. I'm asking why games so often leave the player completely on their own when learning the basic processes of deck building, and why suggesting a game should provide some guidance system seems to be such strong pushback. Example, imagine a new player has 200 cards, but the game never gives them no indications of what cards have synergies, what archetypes exist, even when reasonably starting the structure looks like. My question is, why is it considered bad design to give that player some tools to figure this out? Okay. The big thing. What game are you talking about? What game are we talking about? Because depending on the game we're talking about, this can go in two different ways. I'm going to start by talking about, it's not just deck recipes. I know what they're talking about. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to start by talking about the card game that this video is based on, Card Fight Vanguard. And we'll talk about why Card Fight Vanguard doesn't do this. And then I'm going to go from Card Fight Vanguard to talking about the only game on the planet, Magic the Gathering. Because that's the big one that everyone's based off of. And hopefully, by discussing those two, we'll stumble into the answer they are potentially looking for. So, let's break it down. But first, I need some water. Shoot, I didn't expect us to start the Yap session before the box opening, but everyone loves these. Freshly filled, right out the refrigerator. That is crisp, and condensation is dripping everywhere, but it's okay, that doesn't matter. I vaguely remember the Naruto card game having a section about deck building tips, but ended up largely the opposite of how meta turned out. Yeah. So the big, actually, I want to start with the, actually, I want to start with this comment right here. I vaguely remember the Naruto Cardian having a section about deck building tips that ended up being largely the opposite of how the meta turned out. So, when it comes to general strategy and metas and all that good stuff, that has kind of nothing to do with the people designing the game. The goal of the people designing the game is to just make sure it is balanced enough to be fun and engaging, right? They're trying to make sure that they don't break the game. They're trying to make sure that, like, there's no stupid loops or tier 0 formats. But it is not the designer's job to come up with deck theory or to, like, find the best thing. That is the job of the players. And we know this because whenever a company or designer tries to invent the theory of their own game, you get situations like this, where they'll be like, this is how to do it, and the players go, no, 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 this is how to do it. So in terms of a card game trying to teach you good deck theory, that is something that the card game is not capable of. You need other players to do that. You need players whose sole responsibility it is to innovate on the rules that they were given by the company. It is their job to figure out the theory of the game and to find what is best. It's not the designer's job to find what's best. They don't just, like, make the best thing, right? They make a bunch of things. They make sure one of them isn't too broken. And then they give it to the players to then figure out and innovate on and go from and, like, ideate upon and find the best thing there. So, like, fundamentally, the game cannot tell you what the meta should be. That's up to the players, right? Yeah, there is a Tekken TCG. We're going to be opening it right after this quick rant. Sorry, we're talking a little bit of game design, but after the game design rant, Tekken TCG. This reminds you of something said in a video, angry about all the balance changes in a shooter game metas. Exactly, right? This is also true in video games, right? It's like, they do not design a meta. They just make a bunch of characters, right? And like Rainbow Six Siege, talking about shooters, right? They just make a bunch of operators. It is up to the players to decide which ones are the best where in what scenarios, right? The developers, Ubisoft doesn't decide that. They just make the characters, right? And then just like choose the stats to give them. But they're not like inventing the meta. That's for the players to do. So that's a big thing. Now, when it comes to like tips for building a deck, the videos about Rainbow Six, there we go. Perfect example. Yeah, right? Like, it is not the designer's job to create the meta. It is there to construct the sandbox for the players to then play in. That's the main job. So when it comes to like, why don't card games teach you how to like properly deck build, right? Let's look at Cardfight Vanguard, one of the easiest games to deck build ever, and it's gotten even easier. So deck building fundamentals in Vanguard don't exist anymore. Isn't Tekken owned by Bandai? Yeah, I think it's a Bandai Namco property. I think so. Yeah, it's a Bandai Namco property. So what was I saying? So like, let's talk about Cardfight Vanguard. Cardfight Vanguard deck building fundamentals don't exist. With the advent of the Ride deck, they literally don't exist anymore. Because back in the day, you needed to make sure that you had a proper, like, grade curve, so you were able to, like, ride up consistently. Now that you have the Ride, that doesn't matter anymore. So every deck is just, like, your 16 triggers, your 4 PGs, and then, like, your Persona Ride copies, and then some cards, some grade 2s and 1s. If you want to know how to build a Vanguard deck, you pick your Vanguard, and then go look at the rear guards. Take any rear guard that has your Vanguard's name and its card text, and like play 4 of it. And if it's a double rare or triple rare, play 4 of it. If it's a rare or lower, use it to fill out the gaps that are left in the deck. That's how to build a Vanguard deck, right? Vanguard doesn't have deck building theory at all. So I think how they don't exist. I was trying to build Chakrabarthi, but didn't know what to do. Yeah, right. So you pick okay, Chakrabarthi is a little bit different because you have to do like some stuff is Nirvana, some stuff is like Overdress and all that jazz. That one can be tough because it's like a deck that's been around since 2023 and it was a main character deck, so it's constantly gotten support. But basically, like, you can just go look at the newest set that it has support in, right? Like, we just got the new Vanguard Icon Grade 3, right? Take all of the Nirvana cards in that set, play them at 4, and then fill the rest of the gaps with other cards with that card's name's text in its text, and you're, like, basically good to go. There's not, the Vanguard doesn't have a mana curve, right? You don't need really any concept of a game plan. Your Vanguard just tells you what that is. So, like, most Vanguard decks these days are just your Vanguard and the cards printed in the set they came out in to be their support. Now, of course, you have some support cards for the decks that get printed a little bit afterwards, right? And you might have to, like, go through a backlog or whatever. But, like, it's not only is it, like, the floor and the ceiling on Vanguard deck building is very, very low, right? It's not that hard to get lost. Just pick the cards with the words that you're looking for on them, right? And then outside of that, there's not too much to do. There's obviously the generics, but if you do, like, any amount of research, every player in the world will tell you what the good generics are, right? Yeah, the only one Vanguard deck building is Rigor Grade 3 Select, right? And it's like, it's so hard to go wrong in Vanguard deck building, right? Could you play a deck of all grade 2s? Yeah, you probably will run into some problems there. But, like, put 3 copies of your Persona Ride in the main deck and make the rest of the deck half grade 2s and half grade 1s. That's kind of all you have to, like, that's a fine enough baseline, right? So Vanguard, it's really hard to talk about, like, deck building theory because it doesn't exist. You kind of just play the cards that get printed for your decks. There's no concept of a mana curve. We don't have control aggro mid-range, so you don't have to take into account, like, the actual, like, cost of the cards you're playing, right? None of that is real in this game. You just build with the cards that are printed to work with your Vanguard, and then you can sub in some generics to kind of fill in gaps or to, like, power it up. And that's kind of where the whole thing starts and ends. So for Vanguard specifically, what's Bushiroad gonna tell you? Right? If our goal is, let's have Bushiroad teach Vanguard players how to deck build, what are they going to tell you? You know what I mean? What is there to tell new? Like, if a new player came up to me and was like, how do I build a Vanguard deck? What do I tell them? I'd be like, pick your Vanguard, go find the double and triple rares that have your Vanguard's name in their card text, and play 4 of all of those. And then add 16 triggers, 4 PGs, and if there's space left over, go look at some commons and rares with your Vanguard's either name or archetype, and play a couple of those that you want. And as long as your deck isn't entirely grade 1s or entirely grade 2s, you will be fine and can play the game. And then once you've played the game, you'll learn how it works, and, you know, you can make, like, better deck building decisions from there. But, like, our commenter says, like, I'm not saying how to build a good deck that comes with practice, right? They just want to baseline start to let them practice and then get better at deck building. Okay, the baseline start is play the cards that have your Vanguard's name on them. That's kind of how the game works, right? So there's not much to really say there. I think deck building is too varied to really give a guide. There's no one right way to build a deck, just going off pre-constructed decks. Pokemon tends to connect. Okay, so we're going to talk about this. Okay, so that's the Vanguard side. Let's go to the Magic the Gathering side, right? The only card game that truly exists, Magic the Gathering, right? So we have this thing down here. Where is it? Is it this? Okay. For example, if a game has several archetypes, synergies, or cards that naturally work together, why not give players some way to discover or recognize connections? Not necessarily by saying this is the best deck or giving them a solid list, but teaching players the process. So I'm sure you've heard the complaint that Magic the Gathering has way too many keywords. And while that is fair, that is also by design. The reason that if you look at any particular Magic the Gathering set, and all of the commons and uncommons have, like, wacky, zany, weird keywords on them, is for new players. It's for new players playing limited. And the way it is designed is that if you are a new player playing limited, either it's your first time at a pre-release, or it's your first time drafting, and you don't know what to do, the best rule of thumb is play all of the cards with the same word on them. And this is by design. This is intentionally designed by the designers, is that if you are lost and you don't know what to do in a given set, find cards with similar words on them and shuffle them together. And it will function as a coherent strategy, right? And the reason the game doesn't, like, explicitly tell you this is because it is supposed to be something that you intuit. And I think that might be where the crux of this conversation really lies, is, like, why doesn't the game tell me, like, where to start deck building, right? Teaching them the process of these cards work together. The game isn't really supposed to tell you X and Y go together. You are meant to kind of figure that out by saying, oh, this card has this keyword on it. This card, and it's the same color, or maybe a different color, has the same keyword on it. Maybe if I combine these cards, since they have the same words on them, they will work together. So instead of the game just explicitly telling you what to do, the cards are more designed to lead you in a direction, to kind of help you discover these synergies yourself, right? If, like, let's say, like, you know, the green-blue deck's gimmick in this limited environment is putting +1/+1 counters on things, right? You might pick up a green card that puts a +1/+1 counter on something, and then you see this blue card that goes, if this has a +1/+1 counter on it, it gets a benefit. Oh, maybe this card that puts +1/+1 counters on things goes with this blue card that benefits from having +1/+1 counters on them, right? They are simple synergies that are meant to be easily identified, so that if a new player is lost and doesn't know what to do, right? Just pick all the cards that have, well, I guess prowess is an evergreen keyword, right? But, like, let's say you're drafting, I don't know, I think the Marvel set had Connive, but if you're doing New Capenna, let's say you're drafting New Capenna, if you just pick all the cards that say Connive on them, you'll naturally draft I think it's the Grixis archetype that had Connive. You will naturally just draft a Grixis deck, and it will work because all of the cards are meant to synergize with all the cards that say Connive, right? So in a similar vein of Vanguard, if you're lost building a Magic deck, play all of the cards that have the same words on them, and they will naturally take you in a direction. Now, like you were saying, it's not about how to build a good deck, but it will get you a deck, and it will give you a deck that functions and has synergies that you can discover and learn, like, oh, this is what synergies are, this is how they work, right? From just a baseline default of play the cards with the same words on them, right? So the best advice I could give to a new player who's like, I don't know how to deck build, where do I start? I would say, pick a card you like, or pick a word you like, play all of the cards that have that word on them, and that will take you in a natural direction, right? The new Hobbit set, right, it's even easier. It's a small set, it's 5 archetypes, right? The blue-white bit is recruit, right? I like this blue-white guy that recruits. I think this is cool. Now we're getting to the UFS opening. I got distracted by a YouTube comment, so I'm doing a bit of a yap session where I got the boxes right here. We're about to get into it. I got sent down a rabbit hole. So let's say you have this guy that's really, you like him a lot and he recruits. Okay. Go through the set, pick all of the cards that say recruit on them, and then put those in a deck, and you will naturally have a deck that functions, right? And like, even like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? It's like, play all the cards with the same name in their name, right? I don't know what to build, but this Blitzclick guy looks really cool. Cool, play 3 of all the Blitzclicks. Play all the spells that mention Blitzclick, shuffle them together, and jam a game, right? And that will get you somewhere. So the reason games don't really, like, tell you what to do is because it is something you are kind of meant to intuit, right? You are supposed to naturally just kind of think, oh, these cards have the same word on them. They probably go together. And if you want to talk about, like, because, like, Vanguard has no deck building fundamentals, so there's nothing to talk about there, but Magic does, right? There's a mana curve. You need to have the right amount of lands and spells. I think I might have one. Let me see. I think I have one. So, pre-releases are fantastic new player experiences. If you're a new Magic player, the best thing you can do is go to a pre-release. And if I am not mistaken, it'd be really awkward if I was. I might have thrown it away. That's the one big problem. Nope, I think I have it. Yep, there we go. Every single pre-release pack comes with a little insert that tells you how to build a good sealed deck. Right? It explains that your deck needs a mana curve. You want to have a lot of low drops for the early game, but still have some high drops for when you get into the late game. But it should curve, right? It tells you that the good ratios, you want 15 to 18 creatures. In a sealed, limited environment, you want creatures. Creatures are strong. You want creatures, and then like only 5 to 8 other spells. You play too many non-creature spells, you're just going to get run over. You need to get on the board. So, as a good rule of thumb, you play 15 to 18 creatures, right? Now, granted, not every game does this, but in games like Magic that have very specific, like... So, in Vanguard, the game is kind of built for you. You know you need a ride deck of 0, 1, 2, 3. Awesome, that gets you progressing through the game. You have to play exactly 16 triggers, right? You play 4 perfect guards, and then the rest of the deck is yours to do what you will with, but there's not really that many ways to go wrong outside of either playing cards that don't do anything or playing like all grade 2s somehow. And if you like, that's your problem, we kind of have a different problem at hand outside of you don't understand how the deck building works, right? That's a little bit different. But for games like Magic that do have kind of intricate deck building, right? You need to know you need a ratio of lands and spells. You need to be playing the right kinds of spells. They do provide this little handy dandy guide for you to explain how to do all that. So that kind of brings us back to like that initial question of like, why don't games do this? Well, A, they do at a baseline level, and it depends on the game and how much of a requirement teaching someone that thing is, right? In Vanguard, it doesn't matter at all, and in Magic the Gathering, it's extremely important, so Magic teaches you, right? And then if you want to go even like a little bit deeper into like fundamentals as like how to use like decks that like need specific game plans in Magic the Gathering, you need to understand if you are a control aggro or mid-range deck to know what kinds of creatures you want to play, if you want to play big explosive creatures or you want to play like early game threats, right? That is more for you to intuit, and if you are ever lost, the game is built to naturally guide you in a direction by going, oh, I'm just going to play all of the cards that have similar words on them, right? Or even in like some Magic sets, a lot of them are determined by creature type, right? If you go to Lauren and you're like, I don't know what to build, just play all of the merfolk, right? You can just take all your merfolk and shuffle them in a pile, and you will get I think it's blue-white in that set. You'll get a blue-white deck, and it'll work, and it'll synergize with itself inherently, right? So there are tools to kind of help you build a deck. They're just not explicitly told to you. They are meant for you to sort of intuit. Now, the designers try to make it as easy as possible, right? By going, just pick all of the what blue-white cards in the Hobbit set say recruit. Just pick all the ones that say recruit, or like synergize with like things coming into play, or like you having a lot of guys, right? It's kind of, that's all from a baseline level, that is all you need to do to kind of get going. And if you and right on the other side of it, if a company does try to go too far in a direction of telling you, this is exactly how to build a deck, this is how to build a good deck, this is how to build the best deck in the meta, all tournament winning decks should be structured like this, 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10, the company will be wrong. They will be incorrect. Never once has a card game properly described how to play its own game. Let me see if I can find the Yu-Gi-Oh example. This is the best example. Card games can only teach you the rules. They cannot teach you how to play the game. This is the best example, this old Yu-Gi-Oh! So Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to give you like example combos that you can play. Check this out. This is real. This is the most common combo with Raigeki. Before summoning your monster, first use Raigeki to destroy all your opponent's monsters on the field. Next, summon your monster in attack position. Since your opponent has no monsters on the field, you can attack and damage his or her life points directly. Notice how in this notice how this example, because I think it's too old to, but notice how this example doesn't even use Dark Hole, which is a card where you would want to hold back your normal summon before you play it because it blows up all of your monsters. If you were to summon your Silver Fang and then activate Dark Hole, you'd pop your Silver Fang. So maybe you should wait, activate the Dark Hole, then summon your Silver Fang so you're the only one with monsters on the field. No, they use Raigeki. You could do any of these things in any order and it would not matter. You can summon Silver Fang first. Raigeki still pops only your opponent's monsters, right? And this is the example, right? This is why card games shouldn't really teach you how to play the game, because their job isn't to teach you how to play the game. Their job isn't to know how to play the game. That is the responsibility of the player base. Their job is just to create an environment for you to play in. They're just building the sandbox, right? It is you, the player's job, to then play in the sandbox and find the best kind of sand, right? The designers didn't go, all right, here's the best kind of sand. We've hidden it over there. They're going to go find it. Every time a designer has done that, what has happened every single time is they go, all right, who's going to find the sand first? Everyone looks at the sand, goes, that's terrible. The best sand's actually over here. And they go, oh shoot, we didn't know that was the best sand. That's the best sand? Oh. And then some stupid broken tier 0 deck is discovered, right? The designer's job and focus is on creating a balanced, not super broken, not tier 0 environment that is fun and that players will want to engage with. Optimizing the format, figuring out what is good theory, what is strong to be doing, what is the most optimal way to construct a deck. That is the job of the players, of the thousands of players playing tens of thousands a game every day, to figure out. The designers are to make sure nothing gets broken, right? So that's the big difference. And that's really like the reason why card games don't really teach you like how to play, is because they don't know how to play. And they're not supposed to know how to play, right? And that's the big thing. So that's why. So card games will give you everything you need to know to construct a deck, as in they'll teach you the rules of deck construction. But how to best construct a deck or how to properly do it, that is for the players to figure out, right? And if you want to know, you're going to have to go ask other players for that. The company is not supposed to have that information. The only reason like Bushiroad knows how to build a Vanguard deck properly is because they've watched players do it for 15 years. Right? But it is not their job to know nor create that theory. That's for the players. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it for this TED. Thank you for coming to this episode of my TED Talk. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. Let's get on to the main event. Oh, chat. For anyone new in chat, you know, welcome to the my stream experience. This is what you sign up for. You log on board to hear me get sidetracked and rant about game design for like 40 minutes. This time I got sidetracked before I even went live. I like went live, it was doing the countdown, I was like pulling up background things, and I looked at youtube.com and I read a comment and I was like, that is something I want to talk about. And so we talked about it for forever. But with that being said, I think it is finally time to hop on over and do some unboxing. So that was being said, I'm gonna kill the, I guess I'm calling that like the I guess that's like the pre-show music now. I guess we'll just use the Tekken soundtrack as the pre-show music. But with that being said, let's open some boxes. I got 2 boxes to open today, and I'm so excited. We are trying out a new setup here. Hopefully this will look good for box openings. Because, you know, as we know, my camera is booty butt. And from far away, it looks really bad. Now, I have it, like, on the desk, and it looks pretty good. So, let's get cracking. You know, eat now. Hey, this is the perfect stream to, watch while you eat. We're just gonna rip some wrappers. I'm gonna move the chat. I forgot the chat's over here. Because when I did this, you know, I was not live with chatters. There we go. There we go. We're just going to rip some wrappers and talk about the set. Talk about some stuff. Now, granted, I'm still new to Universes, technically. So I'm not going to have too many interesting things to say about the set outside of, dang, this card looks cool. So, you know, if you came here for expert commentary, sorry to disappoint you. I'm not that. But I did get to teach one new person how to play at locals yesterday, and another guy was very interested. So we're growing the locals, baby. So hopefully I can start playing through, hopefully I can start playing more consistently and learning more about the game, and eventually I will become educated enough to give my thoughts on the topic. But with that being said, let's just look at some cool cool shiny cardboard, you know? Let's just take a look at the cool shiny cardboard. Is there a code? Don't scan that. That's mine. Oops. Oh, well. Awkward. Oh, you can... Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Oh my goodness. There we go. All right. Now we're cooking. I'm just going to put this, like, over here. So does really well expect Bandai Tekken game in 2 years? I mean, maybe. Maybe, yeah. I got to get my digital points. Dude, these barcode... These... I hate, like... So you get to scan the barcode, right? I wish I could... I mean, I could stream from my phone, but it sucks and doesn't work. You scan the barcode, and you're like, ooh, I'm going to get my points. I'm going to get my little points. It just takes you to the website. It just takes you to the site to redeem your points. I'm gonna get these now. It just takes you to the site to redeem the points. You still have to, like, to type in the super long, wacky code. Like, man, I thought Amazon solved this problem, like, years ago, when it would just scan the letters and it was just, like, ready to rock. Why do I still have to type in the stupid code? Oh, and it's a pile of nonsense letters. Oh, I'm not even signed in, am I? That's awkward. Doesn't even keep me logged in. Come on, play UVS. Come on, UGN. Oh, and I didn't even log me in, so I gotta retype the code. Oh my lord. We're off to a great start. Does every UVS player struggle with this? Is this a pain point for every UVS enjoyer? Trying to get your funky digital points. Because this is a task for sure. There we go. Got it. Boom. For any of you that tried to scan the code, frick you. I already scanned it. All right. We're gonna not do that on the next box. Okay, that was annoying. Let's go. Let's just rip some wrappers. Let's hop right in. First pack, baby. Let's go. Another reason I bought these boxes, not to just rip wrappers, is I do have a video that I'm making that requires me to open 2 boxes. So I need to keep all of these packs in the order that they are. So if you wonder why I'm not, like, making a rare pile, or, like, where's my... Oh, I gotta do this. Why I'm not, like, setting stuff aside or whatever, it's because I kind of need to keep the pack contents together to be able to do some math later. But you know what? For fun, what did I just do? Oh, man. For fun, I think I will do that math live on stream. Okay, the only bad part about the setup is I have to use my mouse with my left hand, and I am nowhere near coordinated enough to do... Okay, there we go. There's the autofocus. My webcam also still sucks, so I have to go autofocus, lock it in, and, like, then unlock it? No? Did that work? That didn't work. Alright, we're just gonna rip the autofocus and, hope it doesn't bug out all the time. Alright, off the bat, we have one of everyone's favorite cards in the set. The flip remove 10 foundations for our cards from your discard pile to get a heat token. Well, we're gonna be talking about these later. Hey, there's a promo of this that looks way cooler than the actual card. We got Weighted the Accursed. Ooh, that looks cool. Even for just, like, video game screenshots, I think these still look pretty sick. Delta Slot. Dude, it's bugging out. Alright, I gotta do it manually. Check it out, chat. Here's the tech. We're gonna go... Oh, it's so hard to be precise with my left hand. Alright, and then we're gonna go... Good enough. Calling that good enough. Alright, we're cooking. Eddie Kick. Oh, that was Breaker. I do like Breaker. Another flip remove 10. Ooh. And then, ooh, we got a UR off the bat. Violent Pat. Well, actually, wait. Why does it look like... Why does it... It looks like it's, like, all foggy and hazy. You know what I mean? It's like the whole card is, like, blue fog. Also, what is this? Is this, like, part of the art? Or is that, like, a chip on the card? It looks like someone accidentally hit the thing with a magic marker. What is that? All right, well, W first UR, I guess. Falcom Wrong, I think, is the... Falcom... I don't remember who this is. Enhance remove, build 2 cards from your discard pile face down. Sack them at the end of this combat phase. Okay, I was about to say, that sounds broken. I mean, that seems like not the worst action ever printed. Okay, here's... Oh, I did want to talk about this. Here's the thing. As a new UVS player, Here's something I keep encountering. Ooh, Kazuya. We got the alt art of him. Here's the thing I keep running into. Every time I read a UVS card, I read the weird words and I go, ooh, that's pretty good. And then I realize I've read all of the cards and thought, that's pretty good. Well, they can't all be good. So either I'm missing something, or maybe every card in the game is... Oh, I see a shiny. Either I'm missing something, or maybe every card in the game is just good. But I need actual UVS players to confirm or deny that for me. Because every time I read a card, I'm like, that sounds pretty good. Oh, another Silent Assassin. That seems pretty not bad. Oh, shoddy. I want to build Reina, just because I like her. It's actually really funny. I like Reina a lot. She's the opposite of my playstyle. I hate the, like, living on the edge, you're low-key trying to kill yourself decks. They stress me out. Ooh, another SR. Twist reality. This card looks awesome. What is this? Who is this in Tekken? But, like, honestly, I don't care. He looks freaking sick. But crazy, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pharaoh monster. What is it? Hand discard. Seal a foundation in your rival stage. It's free. That's not the worst thing ever. It is a card out of your hand, but it's not horrible. And then responds discard power. Move after your rival plays an ability that adds one or more tokens to their momentum or stage. Cancel it. Oh! Sideboard card. Good sideboard card. That seems like a pretty sick sideboard card. Okay. Me likey. Another Kazuya Mishima. Alrighty. Another flip remove 10. Some stuff. And hand of a mission. Reina card. Yay! I like Reina. I'm just going to stack them like this. So that way I don't forget that they're in that order. Hooah! Next pack. Bing bong. Alright, we got a flip remove 10. Whoop. This guy, don't know his name, but I've seen him once before. We got some Demon Kazuya. Shoddy. We got Durandal. I low-key kind of want to build Victor just because I think he looks cool. But I don't know if I'm a big asset gamer. Oh, and Burning Fist. This card's hilarious. Burning Fist. 0 speed, but, like, it just can't be blocked. Yeah, this attack can't be blocked, and this attack's damage cannot be greater than its printed damage. So it can't be blocked, and you can't buff the damage. So you just go, like, take 5. And that's kind of funny. We got, Heihachi, the GOAT, the King. Actually, King is different characters. That doesn't really count. More stuff. Ooh, and the one backup in the deck. Or in the set. We got the one backup. Ooh. Filled with... I've heard it filled without. I don't know what it does. I haven't read it yet. But I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Like it's the bee's knees. It appears to be the, action you can put in any deck card. Where, like, don't know what to do? Play some filled without. It's never bad. Seals an attack after it's played, so it's now blockable. Oh. Oh. Seals an attack after it's played. Okay. So you just turn the attack off. But you can still, like, put speed and damage on it, right? Or would that affect... I don't think, right? You could still, like... You just turn the... Does that just turn the text? Or how does sealing... I forget how sealing works. I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, double flip remove 10. Let's go. Durandal. Oh, remove 4 heat token. Okay, remove 4 cards from your stage. Get a heat token. Okay. Ooh, we got the guns. Dual handgun. Lose all of its abilities. Still has speed and damage, etc. Okay, yeah. So you can still like, buff it. Okay. Heihachi Mishima. The Reina card. Ooh. And then we got the Blue Lock Stink Cloud Aura. Bro is a fart smeller. Not a smart fella. Oh, hey, is everyone coping on this? It seems like cope. Everyone's either like, oh, this card's gonna break the game in half. And the other half's like, it's fine. I mean, I don't personally have an opinion on it, because I haven't played the game enough to be allowed to have an opinion on it, but, I don't know. I don't think it's like that. I mean, it seems like good, but not like that crazy. What does this card do? To seal a foundation. Okay, so this is just get hit foundations and not... Okay, so that's no field without. It only hits foundations. But like the response, I don't know, seems like a sideboard card. Am I wrong? I feel like I'm kind of on the money of like that's a good sideboard card. Two. Next pack. Oh my gosh. the pull tabs, I mean, people have been saying this for centuries, but the pull tabs on booster packs have always been a little hit or miss. They either work really well or they don't work at all, and there's like no in between. We got the generic arena, the elegant palace. This is the infinity symbol one that you can put in literally anything. Where's the focal point? Is it here? I think it's here. Sick. Ninja card. I wish he was a character. I love this guy. The espresso shot. Next generation model. The Mishima card. Are we gonna hit 0 remove 10s? Form remove 10s? Ooh! You are Tempest Demon God Fist. This card looks sick. Yo. Heihachi the goat. Ooh. That looks cool. I'd like to play that. And Eddie Gordo. Fantastic sealed character. Some more Heihachi stuff. We got the detachable head. And Heat Dash. Okay. We got none of the form remove 10. Get a heat token. Nope, we got a package of cards. I mean, we got an arena. That's basically worse, but you know. Because I was wondering what if every pack had one of those in it? That'd be kind of zany. But that seems to be not the case. We got some Deal with the Devil. Way to the Accursed. Cool. There's one. There we go. Flip remove 10. Heaven's Hammer. I kind of want to build Asuka. She seems really cool. I like her game plan. Heaven's Merciless Wrath. Destroying Automation. And the Kiss Shot Penetrator. Ooh. I do like UVS's like base foiling. I like the streaky foils. I think these look really good. And they shine a lot better than like every other game's like very like flat foiling. I do appreciate these a lot. Another Eddie Gordo, Giant Swing, Chain Punch Sheath. I mean, let's be honest. Everyone wanted is it Leroy? It's Leroy, right? Everyone wanted Leroy in the game. But he's a DLC character, so he comes in the second Tekken set. Tekken set 2. Keihan was in UVS. I mean, granted, with how like random all the IPs are in UVS, I would say it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's definitely not impossible. Now, is it wacky and crazy and like barely even culturally relevant anymore? Absolutely, but not impossible. If we can get the Fairy Tail manga, granted, I guess it's the 20th anniversary of Fairy Tail, but still, if we can get the Fairy Tail manga, dude, we can get anything. They could put any, or sorry, not we can get anything. If they're going to put the Fairy Tail manga in the game, we can put anything in the game. We can put whatever in the game. We got, now granted, I know why we got it, but we got Star Trek The Lower Decks. Never letting UVS live that one down. We got Star Trek The Lower Decks. We can get Keihan. We can put Keihan in the game. 2 flip remove 10s. Ooh, and Devil's Instincts. Looks kind of cool. Ooh. We like, ooh! All art Sergei Dragunov. Dude, look at that. Look at that. Come on, autofocus. Don't let me down. Yeah. That looks awesome. Dude, all the alt characters look so good in this set. Oh, they look so good. Look at that. Oh, that looks so cool. I don't really want to play Dragunov, but like now I kind of do, because that looks awesome. Whoa. I think these look better than the Chromes. Call me crazy. Ooh, heat token. Oh, but it's a better version of a heat token. Okay, Inferno and a Stupid Arena. Yeah, right? Like, ooh, that all looks awesome. I think I like the alts better than the Chromes, personally. I think the Chromes would look really boring. Like, I get it. Ooh, the Chromes, all fancy and stuff. I think the alts look way cooler. Like, I would much rather open an alt than a Chrome, personally speaking. But I'm also not, like, a super crazy collector whale kind of guy. So, like, I just like things that look cool, not really, like, how high of rarity they are, if that makes sense. Next-gen model. With a Delta Slicer. Oh, come on. Come on, Gim. Come on, Gim. Welcome me here. Stupid left hand. There we go. And then... Ah! I let go, but I also move my hand when I let go. There we go, and that slid it. Alright, perfect. We're back. We're so back. More Heihachi. And then... oh, okay, we can talk about these now. The alt arts of the foundations and attacks. Now, granted, I don't think this one looks too bad because you can't really tell what's wrong with it. Hopefully, I will open an alt art where you can really tell what is wrong with these. But here it's a little unclear. It's a little tough to tell what is extremely wrong about this. Not impossible. Definitely not impossible. It's still there, but a little bit harder to tell. This is definitely one of the better ones. Just because of how the composition of the art is. But I'm sure soon... Yes, Asuka! Okay, perfect. I'm sure sometime soon I will pull one, and we'll be able to go over exactly why, or we'll be able to see exactly what the issue with those was. I'm sure we'll encounter it. All right. Ah, there we go. Dude, the tab only goes halfway half the time. Privilege opera, you gotta have rich white woman. It's unfortunate that we can't play the rich white woman in the game. We can't do the rich white woman. Is it a low? It's just a low, right? Or is it a kick? I think it's just always a... What's the meme? Is it a low? I think it's a low. The rich white woman low. So sad we can't do that in UVS. But granted, we don't have any of the other rich white women, oh my gosh, in UVS. So it doesn't really matter. Hey! Master's Touch. Yeah, so I think there's like a UR action for every single symbol in the game, and they're all attuned. So this is the water one. Enhance remove freeze and ready up to 2 foundations in play. If you have a heat token in your stage, freeze ready up to 3. I don't know if this card's good. But it's a shiny UR. It has to be good. I don't know. Like, I get its application. I think it's one of those things where it's not that I don't think it's good. It's that I'm too afraid to use it. I'm way too scared to use it. And I think that's valid. I don't want to play a deck that uses this. I'm too afraid to push the button. But it is what it is. I also don't really like playing decks that like want to push that kind of button. That's also part of it. But mainly because I'm too scared to do it. Is this Steve? I love Steve. I remember when Tekken 8 came out, I was watching FeedX teach Disguise Toast Steve combos. And it was really fun to watch. I do wish we got Steve. I like boxers. I think boxers are cool. But it is what it is. We can't all have our favorite characters in the game. You know, I seen it when they said there were 14. They said there were 14 characters, and I went to make the little graphic that I created for my how to play the Tekken TCG video, and I realized we're not getting even like half the characters. So some were gonna... Oh, a Karambit. Good in CSGO. Some were gonna be missed, and that's just it is what it is. That's just it's the nature of the beast. You know, nothing you can really do about it. You just gotta kind of hope that your favorite character gets in. Like, if I... Ooh, Dragonfly Slash. Ooh, he's slashing. Yes, Reina. All right, perfect. We're getting characters that we want to play. Like, if I had to complain about, like, one character not being in the game, I think the biggest... Outside of, like, I wish character I like was in UVS. I think the biggest miss, is Brian. Why is Brian not in here? Like, now, I don't play Tekken at all. I've only casually observed it. But I swear, in either every video I watch or any tournament footage that is ever shown, Brian is always on the freaking screen. Now, maybe it's just like what the Tekken YouTubers choose to put on the screen. Maybe he was just relevant at the time. But, like, I don't play Tekken at all, but I always knew who freaking Brian was because he was constantly on the screen. At least I think his name's Brian. Is it Brian? I don't remember. But that dude was everywhere. He was always in the pro footage they would use. Ooh. The Enraged Tetsui Otoshi. Oh, it's a Heihachi card. Okay, Heihachi Slam. Oh, dude, he's slamming him. There's so much water and foil on the card, it's almost hard to tell what's going on. He's, like, slamming him into the dirt. Dang, okay. I see you. Speaking of, there's Heihachi. Giant swing. Another glove. Ooh, format's cooked. And then Sheng Pao. Like the chicken. Yep. Oh my lord. See, sometimes it does this where you just get like all the extra plastic and oh man. Sometimes you just get unlucky with pack chemical composition, I guess, or something. I don't know. King card. Panda. Yeah, this game's got pandas. Oh, you bet your sweet bit it has pandas. The resurrected king of Iron Fist. That's just a cool card. Too bad it's on one of the flip remove 10s. Hey, a kick. If I get enough cool kicks on air, I might put a Chun-Li deck together. If I can pull enough cool kicks, I'm thinking about putting Chun-Li together. I think she's cool. Ooh, the Aizen Festival Swing. Yo, Aizen from Bleach? Question mark. And speaking of, Asuka. We keep getting rares, and then the character, therefore, is character card. It's kind of fun. Dude, this guy's just got swag. Like, I don't know if I really like the asset gaming, but, like, dude, you can't deny Victor's got motion. Dude's swag to the nines. There he is. Brian. I think it's Brian. This guy. This guy's, every time you see a Tekken clip, this guy's on the screen, punching people and beating them up. He's everywhere. I'm shocked he wasn't in the game. I thought he would be like he was like a guaranteed slam dunk. But I guess not. I guess not. Ah! You gotta do the little, you gotta do the thumb tech where you go, hua, and then that finishes the pack off. Some more way to the accursed. Another flip remove 10. Shoddy. Another kick. Cool. Like to see kicks. Delta Slicer. More kicks, but it's not on the symbols I need, so it doesn't matter. And ooh, Heaven's Wrath! Dude, I'm so excited. When they revealed the alt arts for the shop promos, and I saw the Heaven's Wrath alt art, I immediately went on uvsultra.com. I looked up Heaven's Wrath, and I looked up decks playing this card. Unfortunately, there's like none of them. So that sucks, but I really want to get the alt art for this card and put it in a deck because it looks amazing. This card looks fine. It's not her best angle, but you know, I'm excited. Oh, perfect. Okay, I need to build a king deck because one of the people at my locals that's interested in the game really likes king. So I need to throw together a king pile to play with them with. Another kick. Beautiful. That's what we like to see. Another kick, but it's on the wrong symbols. Chun-Li does not have death, I think. Okay, so this is done. Goes there. Right, there we go. Money. Continuing forth. Ugh. Ugh. Try, let me know if I'm going too slow. I have a bad habit of making pack openings take way too long. So let me know if I'm going a little slow. The White Reaper. Swing, and then Destructor Form, Alyssa Rare, Unique Foundation, another Reyna, Soul Armor, Assassin Sting. But I mean, there's so many. Yes, Tekken Ball, the coolest card of all time. We love Tekken Ball. There's so many cards in the set. I feel like it's gonna take a while before we start getting like a bunch of duplicate commons and uncommons. Not to say we haven't already, but until like the entire pack is duplicates, it's gonna be a minute. Oh, I think it's a Law. That's the Bruce Lee character. This guy, he looks like Quicksilver. The GOAT Victor. He's got Aura. Eddie Gordo. We got Kazuya. He's a CEO. He's not the CEO, but he's a CEO. Lead Operative. Ooh. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because I'm going to do it wrong. Because it's French, and I can't speak French at all. But, also looks a little foggy. You know what? You see what I'm saying? Like, there's like a fog over it. It's not the most, like, clear thing ever. I mean, not the worst thing in the universe, but you know what I mean? It's like there's like a haze on it. I wish it was a little more popped. It just makes it not like pop. You know, it feels a little washed out. So it's a little disappointing. Hey, speaking of, there he is, Eddie Gordo. That's his attack. Fart Cloud, and then the goat. Leroy. Oh, that looks like shiny card. Oh no, that's probably just a character. I was gonna say there's no shine on that card. No, it's just a character. I'm gonna take a guess. Let's gamble. I'm gonna say it's Asuka. I'm gonna say it's Asuka. Post your things, your guesses in the comments down below. Why has he got his butt out like that? Oh, he's grabbing him. I see. Is he pointing? Oh, he's got him in a headlock. I see. Okay. Yeah, working on him. Oh no, it's I skipped the rare. Yeah, I stuck in my hand. Sliding Firecracker. It's a kick. It's attuned to the air. Is it good? After attack deals damage, each player adds a foundation from their stage to their hand. It's not the after deals damage? Chad, am I wrong or is this card poop? I can't think of a world where this card is like good. It's a 4 low for 3. It's a 4 diff, sure, but it's a 4 low for 3. Maybe you just try to get them to block it, and then throw something real after. Maybe you go like, ooh, I don't want to bounce a foundation. I'm gonna block it. It's so easy to block. It's 4 low for 3. I'll block it. Or maybe you're supposed to be like, it's only 3 damage. Just take the 3 damage, bro. Just take the 3 damage. And I take the 3 damage, you go, cool. But like, what is bouncing foundations? It's like either like this is the first thing that hits them in the turn, and they bounce one of their ready foundations, which is good. Or like, they go, cool, I'll bounce this foundation I already committed. I mean, it's worse. It obviously is worse for them to do on defense than for you to do on offense, but like, I don't know. Jack 8. It's our first Jack 8. Big old 5-hander. Definitely not playing that. Inferno. Dumb Arena or whatever, and then Sandstorm. Darude. I think the only 5-hander I would play is Heihachi. I don't think I'd play a 5-hander. That seems not my jam. It's not really my speed. But you never know. I'm definitely more of a 6-hand size kind of guy. I could be convinced to do 7. Like, I'll do 7 for Reina. But I'd stick around 6. Play a little average. My favorite guy in Guilty Gear is Kai Kisuke. Head spotted. Uh-oh. Ooh. Don't. Ooh. Ooh. Panda. Durandal. Bear butt. This guy. Ah! Oh. Rats. This is even a cool one. Into the Shroud Sphere. When players does damage, they deal 7 or more damage. Each of their rivals loses 3 health. This isn't the worst one ever. Because it like accelerates the game. Oscar. It's I don't think this is the worst one. Like, the thing it does is fine. I think there are worse arenas, but I mean, overall, these aren't very great. But if you really want to play like a hyper aggro strategy, this isn't the worst thing in the world. Because even like, you know, sometimes you're like, oh well, I guess I'll take 3. You have, you know, 7, right? Where it's like, okay, I like the gimmick of like, you know, it's extra damage. It's for like aggro decks, right? But if I'm already chunking them for 7, like, you have to chunk them for 7. And if I'm already chunking them for 7, like, yeah, 3 damage is like good. Right? Don't get it twisted. 3 damage is good. But like, you gotta chunk them for 7. It feels very win more, right? It's extremely win more. And I'm not a big win more kind of guy personally, but yeah, it feels very win more. But I mean, I guess, hey, what else was it gonna be, right? If it was like, if you do 4 damage, well, now it's like you're just dealing extra damage for free, so it's probably just not great design space to occupy. Limited entry with a Lars unique foundation. Ooh, shiny. Sergey, regular Sergey, boring. Ooh, this looks cool. Ancestral Curse. That looks kind of swag. Shoddy and Steve. Shoddy and Steve. Okay, and then, because every box is 24 packs, I will end with 4 piles. Got it. I can do math. All right, last fourth of the box, baby. Let's hit something. I think have you hit everything crazy? Is it like 2 alts in a box? Have I hit the craziness? Do I just fly through the rest of this? Have we hit the sauce already? Ooh, Meteorite. That's cool. Oh, nope, there's more alts in the box. Alt Heart Yoshimitsu. Dude, look at him. Yo. Let me get that focus. Hold on. Yo, look at that. Look at that guy. Dude, the character alts in this set look so good. They almost make up for the attack and foundation alts being poop. But like, it's textured. Look at that. Ooh, Yoshimitsu. That looks really good. I don't play Yoshimitsu, but I'm sure anyone at I think there are people at my locals that like him, so they will be happy to trade for him. Some other boring cards that aren't as cool as Yoshimitsu. Let's go. That looks awesome. Cards are cool, but I don't think you will find any card player challengers. We barely find players on the PC console version. Oh. Like the console players don't play the game? Well, I just taught 2 people at my locals how to play, and they're going to start coming on Sundays, so my locals is cool. My locals. It's popping. Shoot, what focus was I on? Let's see. Wait, it's like not... I'm hitting the slider and it's not focusing. Hello? 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 Mr. Obama? Hello? Oh, it's so hard to do with my left hand. Alright, we got it. We're there. We're there. Alright. Let's keep it going. Okay, now that should be all the hits for the box. I don't think we get any more than that. The Dragon Rays. Cute. Alyssa. Alright, it's our first Alyssa. Acid Rain. And then whatever the heck that is, because it's in an language I can't pronounce, but I think it's French because it has Lily on it. I think Lily's French. I don't actually remember. There we go. That's a good rip. That was a good one. Okay, now we're cooking. Whoa. Oh, I see. She's like Batista bombing him. I think? No. Oh, no. He's doing these. He's grabbing her with his legs, and he's going to throw her back. I see. That's cool. Capoeira. That makes sense. I should have read the card. And I knew. Reading the card explains the card. If I would have read the card, I would have knew what was going on. Okay, Spider-Man. Ooh, following orders. That looks not bad. That looks kind of nice. It's like, it's framed well. Okay, cool. Cool. Flip, draw 2 cards. If you don't have a heat token, you should lose 5 health. Okay, so you have to be on a heat, but you've drawn. I mean, it's a 4-diff. That kind of sucks. And it's 4-diff unique, but like, draw 2 flip is good. And you need a heat token, so it depends on how easy it is for you to make a heat token. It seems kind of eh. Seems like a pretty eh you are. I don't know if I'm really rocking with following orders. I'm gonna do this, and then it goes down there. Alright. We keep it rolling. Lars, Brian, Lily. Man, all characters that like, don't have cards. Except Lars. Lars' character. Ooh. Alyssa attack. The Heat Blade Diablo. Or Hertz Blade. I can't read, dude. I can't read. Hertz Blade Diablo. Regular Yoshimitsu. Dragonfly Blade. Which I think this is an alt in the shop promo, so that's cool. Yakushima. Is this card good? Dealt 60 more damage this turn. This turn, add a backup from your discard pile to your hand. This card sucks. I mean, it's probably good in like what? I think is it Beast Titan that plays backups or something and under life? Very niche, possibly good. I mean, honestly, that might be one of the better arenas because it's so like specific that it like might be hard for your opponent to capitalize off of it, depending on whether or not they're playing backups. So like, I think for the arenas, the nicher their effects are, the better, because it's less likely your opponent can abuse them and capitalize on them, which is nice. But I mean, overall, I think the arenas are getting kind of bad. They're not super great. Rebellion. Ooh, cool. Also looks really like there's a weird filter over it, like a blue filter on it. Like, feel like it should be a little more saturated, but whatever. Another Jack 8. Maneuver. Ooh, kicks. I do need kicks. Sanctum. Dealt 5 or more damage while this arena is active. Seal 1 non-character card in the rival's stage. Feels very medium. I don't know if any of the arenas in here are good enough to like warrant play. That's like one that like I wouldn't hate. No. I wouldn't like hate it, but also I wouldn't like want it. But like it's not bad. It's, you know, if I hit you for like 5 or whatever, I steal something, that's alright. But like I wouldn't want to put that on my deck and like play it, right? And like perform the check and stick it in my card pool and all that jazz. Do they immediately? Oh, I have to read that really quick, actually. Ooh! Ooh! Best SR in the set, baby. Best SR in the set. Let's go. So in universes, your stage is your board. It's your field. It's where all your foundations sit. But it's the battlefield, essentially. But we got the best SR in the set. This card's like $40, meta defining. You need like 4 of it, unfortunately. But here's one. Here's one. That card's money. Sick. All right, that's good for me. Sergey. And then some other cards you don't care about because that was the shiny card in the set in the pack. All right. Demonic Catastrophe. Do these have to clear? When you play or check this card, you may add it. Okay, so you don't have to. It doesn't have to sit in your card pool. It'll immediately go. So that's nice at least. But yeah, I don't know. This one seems kind of. There are worse ones, but I would hope there are better ones. I think is how I would write that one. But yeah, in this game, your stage is just your field. All right, that's box number 1 down. See ya. It's time for box number 2. I got 2 of them things. So let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. Actually, I want water first. I'm getting a headache. And my mouth is dry. Make sure to hydrate. Make sure to always make a visit at your local hydration station. What does that mean? I have no idea, but it rhymes. That's mine for later. It's funny, scanning that QR code doesn't actually do anything. It just takes you to the website. But it's funny to pretend like it's important. I need to get my fictional points later. They're important. They're very important to me. Okay, I'm just going to scoot these back. So I can put the new stacks in front of them. Alright. Packet number 1 of box number 2. Let's go. It's going to be hard to beat box. There is a way to beat box number 1. The way to beat box number 1 is I get an alt art of a character that I really, really, really want to play. So far, the alts we got are really cool. But if we get an alt of like Asuka or Reina, I will go crazy. Or even Victor. If we get alt Victor, I might have to play him then. Another one of these. Nina's not the worst. Yeah, that came a little quick. Oh, we can get 2. We got 2 alts in the last box. Maybe I'll get 2 in this one. Okay, Nina Williams. I'm sure someone we would want to trade for. I'm not a big Nina guy. I'm not a big Nina fan, unfortunately. Nina! Not a big Nina fan, but the alt art looks pretty alright. It's not bad. I think there are cooler looking ones. I think almost all of them are cooler looking. I think if I'm remembering correct, I might be getting Nina confused with Reina. So I think the Reina one might look pretty whack. But I also might just be thinking of that Nina one. I knew one of them looked kind of whack. But it's okay. If only Darkstalkers got a set? You mean if only Darkstalkers got a set again? Because I think Darkstalkers had a UVS set. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. I think they would need, like... It's unfortunate, but it's one of... Ooh, Reina, rare attack. That's one of those IPs that's so... It's not, like, super popular. So when it comes time for them to pick IPs to get sets, they're gonna pick more, like, newer, shinier IPs that they don't already have. Darkstalkers would either be, like, it'd be a challenger deck, probably, like King of Fighters, or it would be, if they were like, we have no licenses and we need a set for this release slot, then they'd probably do Darkstalkers. It's unfortunately one that I doubt they would be really jumping at the ship for. I'd love it. I'd play the heck out of it. I think it'd look great. But unfortunately, seeing what UVS Games has been choosing to print... Ooh, the Radiant Pegasus Bomb! This is the Alyssa attack. Her fancy signature UR attack. Chucking her head. But after seeing what UVS has chosen to print, I think it is safe to assume Darkstalkers would unfortunately not be at the top of their priority list, which sucks, because I think Darkstalkers is cool. But it is what it is. If I was the decision maker, I'd absolutely love a Darkstalker set. Ooh, Anger of the Beast. This is a pretty expensive SR. It's no demonic catastrophe, but it's money, and it'll be good to put in that King deck that I will teach a local with. So that is a good pull in my book. I'm happy to get that. Some more stuff, and then the end of the pack. Two more of those. Hooah! Moving on. We got Deal with the Devil. Really cursed thingy. Okay, now we're starting to see a lot of repletes. Now we've seen all these. Abyss Damnation. This is a cool card. Or for Kazuka. I almost said Kazuma. Like this is card 5 Vanguard. But Kazuya. This seems to be a thing I keep seeing. Is every time we open a rare attack, we get the character that attack is for. I think that's cute. If that's intentional, that's cute. Stuff and things. This is interesting. You wish UVS to be more like Unity Whites? Yes. So, yeah, I do. Looking at UVS and then talking to a shiny card, talking to people about it and thinking about it more. I think there is an actual strong benefit to being IP locked, and I think a lot of players, at least a lot of people that don't currently play UVS, right? A lot of new players or potential new players, actually prefer the game to be IP locked. Now, one of the benefits of UVS, as I was explaining, I'm gonna get the shiny card. Ooh, Sky Burial, a kick. I don't know if this card's good or not, but it's a kick and it's shiny, so I can put it in Chun-Li. So that's good enough for me. So I was talking about people this the locals, that were new, and what was I saying? Oh, luckily UVS is a game where every time I read a UVS card, I read it and I go, that's pretty good. And then I keep reading cards, and every single time, like, that's pretty good. And then I'm like, well, they can't all be good. Either I'm missing something, or maybe UVS just kind of hit the stride of every card's fairly playable, or at least has, like, pretty solid application. And maybe, like, the good decks are just a combination of the very best of the best. So, one of the benefits of UVS is that... Whoops. Dragonfly Slash. Kazuya Mishima. I just feel thicker. I don't know. If you wanted to build a deck that is all themed around one character and plays like all of that character's cards, you wouldn't be at a tremendous disadvantage for doing so. You'd be at a disadvantage for sure, but it wouldn't be incredible. Like for example, like I bought a bunch of Guilty Gear boxes, and I just recently I'd built a bunch of like 40 card sealed decks, and just recently I souped some of them up to be 60 cards. So for example, I have a Soul Bad Guy deck, and it plays all the Soul Bad Guy cards and then some other Guilty Gear cards to round it out, and it's really bad. It's really not good. Is it playable? Yes. But it is very reliant on not checking threes, which I'm really good at doing. I played it last night, and oh, well, here we go. I can talk about this. I played it last night, and I just checked like 5 threes in a row, which was obviously really bad. And then what the chance where when I was supposed to do my kill turn, I drew a hand of all foundations, and I was like, whatever. It was very reliant on just like you seeing the cards exactly when you need to see them and streaking out and blowing people up. But it was functional. So if everyone at your locals wants to be casual and build silly theme decks, it might not be the worst thing in the world. But I have yet to really experience the difference between like someone building a deck themed around a character versus an actual like good deck, and how big the disparity is. That's really gonna inform my opinion on whether or not I think universes should be IP locked or not. So that's something that kind of remains to be seen, but from what I've played so far, it seems like you can build around a character, and it's not like completely garbage. It's not great, right? Like Soul Bad Guy, just like stock. It's kind of like not sacky, but he really needs things to swing his way to like work. But it's not like completely unfunctional, so I guess there's that. But I'll need to see that later. I'll come back to that real quick. First, we got an alt art. I don't know I don't know why the alt arts in the set are like this. I don't know why the alt arts in the set are like this. You can really see it with this one. It's just the UR, but they put a Canva filter on it. They put a pink Canva filter. They monochrome the background and put a pink Canva filter on the characters in the text box. I'm very curious to know what the extraneous circumstances were that forced them to do this. Because I'd like to believe it was not an extremely conscious decision for them to make the alts this way. I feel like something happened that forced them to make them like this. Because these look kind of rough. Like, let's be honest. The alt art with the weird filter on it, like, I prefer the base rare on it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would rather put the base rares in my deck. I don't need 4 copies of pinkified frenemies. There are worse ones. My favorite one is the gun that's green, because then I get to make the Usopp "why are you green" joke. And I haven't looked at all of them, but I'm really excited to see if there's a yellow one, so I can get playsets of like a piss rare version of the card. So that's really cool. But yeah, for the epic battles, I'm definitely too long to I would have to look that up. And maybe I definitely don't know it off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up, but I might vaguely know of it. Well, we can find out after I finish the segment. But yeah, it's... I think... Ooh, nice. Oscar rare. Oh, there's our first Hwoarang. Nice. Alright, cool. I think my opinion on, like, the IP mixing is... Rather than thinking, like... So here's my thing. I don't really like it, but also I'm not saying they need to, like, swap to you being locked into IPs. I think my preferred solution is making characters' kits more required. I wish it was more like competitively viable slash required to play cards with your character's face on them. You know what I mean? Like, I wish it was like, if you want to build, the best way to build a Reina deck is to play the Reina cards bolstered by some other stuff. Probably made more, absolutely did. My take has always been, right, I say this in all my UVS videos, if it was just fighting game IPs, it would make sense. If it was only fighting game IPs, it would make sense. Because, like, that works. Like, I'm a big theater of the mind gamer and stuff like that. That works in fighting games because we have versus games all the time, right? Fighting games are crossing over constantly. So, like, Kazuya fighting Ryu isn't the most far-fetched idea when we have Ryu fighting Cyclops, right? Like, in canon. So it works way better. And also the fact that there's, like, a fundamental link between everything, it being them all fighting games, you won't notice it quite as much, right? Yeah, it makes sense that my fighting game character is using a fighting game move. Granted, it's from a different character from a different game, but, like, sure, Ryu can throw fireballs. Why can't he throw Morgan's fireballs from MVC3? You know what I mean? It's like, sure, man, right? It's like you're building your own fighting game character. You're like, I want to play Ryu, but I want him, in addition to be able to doing the Shoryuken, I want him to also be able to do Hwoarang's Black Kite. Or, like, I want Chun-Li to be able to do Hwoarang's Black Kite kick. I think it's a cool kick for her to be able to do. Like, it makes sense, right? But when you get into the territory of IPs that are literally all over the place, it starts to get a little sloppy. Ooh, a hot-headed opener. That's how you are. Ooh, okay. Back 8. Line, Jin's Glove, Chang Pao. Not bad. Like, I can give an example, too. I do want more pack for that. So, let me bust out. Oh, it's in the bottom of my backpack. Oh, and I spilled stuff everywhere. Alright, well, I just spilled a bunch of tokens all over my backpack because the bottom of this came off, because of course it did. Because I was rushing. That's cool. Let me bust out the demo decks I use. So here's the demo deck I was using to teach people at the locals. It's a custom cards, but all of the art on the cards is every single IP that is currently in UVS / is coming out next year. So it's a little sample of every single thing the game has to offer, right? So in a world where you're using Soul's Gunflame Fate, granted this is I think this is Exerd Soul, Soul's Gunflame Fate, along with, like, the Electric Wind Godfist, or whatever it's called, and a Punch from King of Fighters, right? I think there's also, let me get a Street Fighter in here, too. Where is it? Where's my going to draw attack? Wait, did I just pass it up? Hold on. There we go. In a world where it's all fighting games, I think this makes a lot of sense, right? I think this all, like, if you know nothing about fighting games, that you might even, maybe not Guilty Gear, but you would think these are all the same game, right? You would think this is all from the same place. This all goes together and fits. Now, if you love fighting games, you know that this is Street Fighter, King of Fighters, and Tekken, right? You know the difference. But these all kind of fit together. The one issue is that these are sandwiched together with cards like Critical Role and Solo Leveling and the Ninja Turtles, which, I mean, I guess I could see the Ninja Turtles in a fighting game, and, like, Godzilla can be in a fighting game. I have an entire video on, like, what counts as being, like, good for UVS. Star Trek The Lower Decks, and then you get, like, Persona 5 is coming out, we have Attack on Titan, there's Fairy Tail, and slowly you get JoJo's in there, which is, like, JoJo's is cool, you get Hellboy, My Hero Academia, and you get, like, Warhammer and Invincible. It starts to become just kind of like a hodgepodge of stuff. And the problem people will run into, at least, like, from who I've talked to, like, there's a guy at my locals who are, like, telling him about UVS, like, you want to play, like, you should play UVS, right? And he's like, oh, mine's My Hero Academia? Okay, I'm just going to build a Bakugo deck. I just want to build a Bakugo deck. Now, granted, Bakugo, unfortunately, isn't in standard, right? So I think what we're gonna do is we're just gonna schedule our locals for Hero 2, so that way people can build the silly My Hero decks they want to, and it shouldn't be like that big of a deal because no one's gonna really sweat that hard. But right, let's say your favorite character is Soul Bad Guy from Guilty Gear Strive, right? Most likely, a Soul Bad Guy deck is gonna look like this. You're gonna play Soul Bad Guy as your character, and the attacks you're gonna play are gonna be Electric Wing Godfist, Invincible Attack, a My Hero Academia attack, and then like a Fairy Tail Foundation and Attack on Titan Foundation. And like, this is what your Soul Bad Guy deck is gonna look like, right? Let me actually, let me do a better example. Add characters, right? Like, let's say your favorite character of all time is Grey Foolbuster. And I tell you, you can play Grey Foolbuster in this card game. You're like, oh, I freaking love Grey Foolbuster. All right, give me Grey Foolbuster. What does the Grey Foolbuster deck look like? Well, it plays an Attack on Titan card, a My Hero Academia card, a Tekken card, and an Invincible card. And you're like, well, I don't really like these things. I like I like Fairy Tail. I like Grey Foolbuster. Where are the Grey Foolbuster cards? You go, oh, you don't play those. Those suck. You don't play the Grey Foolbuster cards. They're not good. They're not good in Grey. You see, Grey has the life symbol, so you play all these instead. Everyone I've talked to has been turned off by that. Right? So that's the one kind of bad thing about the IP mixing is when you have like an IP based game, a lot of people are gonna play the game for the IP. So when people hear about the game and learn, oh, you don't really get to play the IP you like, that starts to be kind of a turnoff. Now, most people can like get over it and be like, all right, I'll play casually. I'm just gonna build a gray deck that just plays all the gray cards, right? And that's fine. And for those people, they have enough fun playing the game. But for every one of those, there's like 5 that are like, oh, I just want to build the deck with the cards that my character has. If I can't do that, I don't really want to play, right? Or you like explain like, well, you can, but like it's not optimal. Like, well, I don't want to like handicap myself to do that. I'd rather just play a game where that's like what you do. I'm gonna go play Union Arena or Weiss because that's just what you do in those games, without having to handicap yourself, right? I'm just gonna go play one of those. So like, I don't think that UBS's problem is that you can mix the IPs. I think the problem is they're doing too many IPs that aren't really good for mixing. It doesn't like, when you read the list of IPs in the game, it doesn't feel like you should be able to mix them together. If it's all fighting games, you're going to be like, oh yeah, oh, you play them all. It's just a bunch of fighting games. Okay, that makes sense. Right, but when they're so vastly different, right, and come from all kinds of genres, it's a lot hard, it's a lot less expected to assume that you can kind of just smash them all together. Right? So I don't know. Catching a Meteor! This is played in stuff. I've seen this played in things. That's probably a playable card. Okay. Cool. Hey, Hachi. Hey, speaking of characters and their attacks. So yeah, I think more of the problem is like not necessarily the fact that you can mix IPs, but the IPs they pick don't really lend themselves very well to mixing, and they would work better as like a Union Arena Weiss Schwartz game where you just pick the IP you like and build a deck around that. So like, my most actionable opinion, if I could change one thing about the game, right, instead of changing how it like is fundamentally designed or what IPs they can pick, I prefer just make the characters' kits matter more. Make the cards with the characters on them be maybe not necessarily but borderline required to play with the character. Borderline. Or at least like highly desirable to play with the character. You know, I don't really like it when it's like, all right, here's my character. He has the Earth symbol, so I play him, and with the 5 best Earth attacks in the game. Right? I'm not a big fan of that kind of design. I would much rather be like, here's this character, and here are the cards that work well with him. You can play other cards to do things, but these are the cards that are meant to work with him and that work well with him. Now, is Universes capable of that? Maybe not. Right? That just might not be the... Ooh, Ultimo Dragwire. That just might not be the kind of game Universes is fundamentally built to be. Right? Where it's like, you kind of can't really make the character kits, like, required. Like, you know what I mean? That might just not be like really feasible. And if that's the case, then that kind of is what it is. But in my theoretical perfect world where anything is possible, I would like it to be a little more focused on characters' kits, more so than just like slamming the good words in them, personally speaking. Like, I think it would go a very long way. Sliding firecracker, that's cool. I think it would go a very long way to have it be if someone was new to the game, they found a character they liked, and when they looked up that character online, they see a lot of that character's cards in the deck. I think that would go a long way. And would give them a better initial opinion about the game than looking up decks on UVS Ultra and seeing that, oh, none of these decks play any of this character's cards. Maybe, like, this character's ultra rare, right? And, like, that's kind of it. That can be it can be a pretty disappointing, it can be a pretty disheartening experience for new players. The ambush tackle. And it's rough. It's pretty rough. It's not a fun experience. And I get that. I definitely get that. And it's really hard to tell people, like, I mean, you could build a all what's a character? None of these are in the game. You can build an all Jack 8 deck if that's your favorite character. You can. Will it be as Electric Wing Godfist? Hey, you could play this in Soul Bad Guy, but I need more copies of it. But that's kind of cool. Right, like, you could build an all Jack 8 deck. Now, would it be very good? Who's to say? And whether or not it's good, as soon as people hear that who's to say, a lot of people get immediately turned off. And that's not really a fault of, like, the game itself, really. Right, you shouldn't always expect that everything you can do is always good. Right, that's a little ridiculous. But it would be, like, nice if it's like, oh, I want to play Asuka Kazuma. What do you put in her? And it's like, you put in the Asuka cards. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's what players are, like, hoping. Like, I think maybe the best way to say it is, like, when a player asks you, what do I play in Asuka? They're hoping to hear Asuka cards, right? So when they don't hear that, they, like, inherently get a little disappointed. But, yeah, solo leveling. So, yeah, solo leveling was really great at keeping itself self-contained. Now, granted, not every, right? And it's like, I agree. Not every deck can do that because the way in which it does it is so, like, unique to it. The other issue is that if you make things too locked into their character, you hurt, like, limited formats and you hurt, like, sealed and stuff. And that's not something I would ever want to do. Right? Where it's like, let's say they put Sung Jin-woo in a set. Well, if you want to play Sung Jin-woo in limited, you have to find Sung Jin-woo the character, and you need to find enough supporting Shadow Army guys, like, to make them work at all. Like, that's a problem they have, like, even in the Tekken set, right? So what they do, limited entry, is, this is a bad example, they introduce character rarities. So characters come in two rarities. There are common characters and there are rare characters. And all this is meant to do is make sure that the rare characters don't show up super often in your packs. So Eddie Gordo is a common character because his abilities don't really care about what cards he's playing. They're kind of always good, right? And let's see if I got any rare characters. A rare character requires a bit more specifics to really get going. So they could be really hard to put together in a limited environment. So Yoshimitsu is a great example. He's a rare character because his whole bit is that you discard a card and you search your deck for at least one asset with difficulty equal to or less than the discarded card's difficulty. So in order to get Yoshimitsu really, and then after you play an ability on an asset, he gains that ability. So in order to get Yoshimitsu working, you have to pull a healthy number of assets. And that's just not, and assets aren't a card type you want to run a lot of in a deck unless you specifically have a character that can benefit off them. So naturally, you don't open a lot of assets. Because if you open a bunch of assets, your deck won't work and you'll brick, right? So, like, this sealed pool has a Karambit. It's got a Tekken Ball, which isn't even, like, that great of a foundation for, like, Yoshimitsu. So you have a Tekken Ball. You have Detachable Head, which is pretty good card. And that's it. You have 3 assets, which, in a 40-card deck, maybe is probably not enough to get Yoshimitsu really, like, cooking. Right? So if So Yoshimitsu is a character that they don't want you to encounter very frequently in sealed, right? Because if you open a bunch of Yoshimitsus and no assets, he doesn't work. So they print him at rare. So you just in case you see him in your sealed pool less often. Like we just saw one, and then Yoshimitsu is surrounded by a bunch of common characters that you can actually like, function, right? So like King is a rare character because he needs throws. And if you don't open throws, King doesn't work, right? So if you make characters a little too reliant on their kits, they stop working in sealed, which is bad, and you don't want that to happen. So it is like so that's why I say like it's possible the game is not built for it, right? The game can't do that, because if they go too hard in that direction, that could ruin a lot of stuff, and I don't want to see that happen. So that's why it is like, oh, a rare arena, boo. That's why I don't want to see them like accidentally like try to walk that tightrope and fall off, because that would be bad. So that's kind of a problem. I don't think most anime TCGs are good for limited. That's good. Well, that's a Japan thing. It's so that is what's the video? I just put it out. The why games don't draft video. Go watch the why games don't draft video. I talk about it there. But yeah, it's a Japan thing. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. But draft is the best format ever, so I'm glad that American games like UVS support it. And I want to keep seeing them do that. Which is why I'm going to work on the video that I'm currently working on. Dragon Rays, and oh, we got a Victor! Dude, he's got aura. Oh, he's so cool. I don't like assets, really, but, like, man, he's cool. Man, he's cool. Alright, keep going. Spin ball, keep on the toes. Almost to the bottom of the box. We got a couple packs left. I think 3? 3 packs left. 3 packs left to go. But yeah, I wish more games were designed for sealed and draft, because it's the best format ever invented. Alright, Rash Challenger. Purple Lightning, whatever that says. Mishima Bloodline. Gunman, Chico CEO. Ah! Demon's Shaft. Okay. And Lars Alexanderson. So, like, Lars is another, like Victor, Lars is a rare character. Right? Lars is, if your attack deals damage, build the next not-unique foundation you play this turn, and after you build one or more cards during the combat phase, your next attack is +1 speed, +2 damage. So this guy is rare. If I had to guess, I would say this guy is rare because he's really freaking good. Sometimes characters are really good. And a problem is UBS has, and has had in the past, is sometimes characters are balanced for constructed, but then as a result, broken and limited. They had a big problem with this in like League of Villains, and some other sets. So some characters are just really strong. To me, Lars reads like a pretty strong card. You also can't trigger his response a bunch. You can only really trigger off his response off his enhance. And if you don't have other ways to build in during your combat phase, his response doesn't work, and he might as well be a blank character. So you don't really want to see him in sealed too often, right? So like that's why they did the rare. I saw some people in the Discord kind of complaining about the rare character thing and not really getting it. So I'd love to, you know, explain it to them in maybe a bit more clearer terms for why it's there. I think it's a good thing. I think it's awesome that they're doing that. Because it allows them to print, like, cool, unique characters without worrying about if they work in sealed, right? They can just print a character. Because that was one of the things they were saying is, like, ooh, Death by Degrees. You are. They were saying is, like, yeah, we can print, like, really cool characters. But, like, if they do something too unique, it can be hard to find the pieces to do that thing in limited. So they kind of refrain from printing stuff like that, and they save those designs for the challenger decks. Having the character rare slot lets them do sort of like an in-between thing of a card that like could work in sealed, but needs a lot of tools to get there. So you don't want to have a bunch of them in your sealed pool. You want to have the common characters. All right, let's see if we get something good in the last pack. Last pack magic, baby. Let's get something crazy. All right, we just got some dual handguns. Dual handgun rare, not too bad. And arena. All right. So I guess you get like you get like an alt character and an alt attack / foundation in a box, and then sometimes you can get 2 alts like we did in box number 1. So that's cool. And that's both boxes down. Let's go. So she's just the limited form I ever played. I'm a big hater of limited. Limited's goated. Limited. Yeah, I've heard sorcery is like super, super good limited. I have definitely heard that sentiment. Which is like probably the only reason I would ever check that game out. But if like other people I knew were interested in it, I would do it because I've heard the limited is so good. I love limited formats. Okay, chat. So that's the box openings. Done. Is that going to be a YouTube video? Heck no, because that was like an hour long. Maybe I'll post an hour-long box opening, but I probably won't. So I figured it's so hard to use my desk in this configuration. I'm not gonna lie, I have so much stuff everywhere. But I figured while we're here, instead of ending stream, because this is all I had planned for today, instead of ending stream at an hour 45, I'm gonna work on the next video I want to make, and you're gonna be here working on it with me. Doesn't that sound fun? Doesn't that sound cool? Let's go. Doesn't that sound fun? Who's ready to do some data analysis? Now, granted, I say that. I don't even know. I shouldn't even be saying that. I don't think I have the qualifications to use that term, nor properly know what it means. I'm just saying it says it because it sounds cool. But we're going to analyze some data, chat. We're going to analyze some data. So I think that sounds fun. Maybe I'll make this a YouTube video. Maybe I'll post the data analysis, the breakdown. I'll make other stuff otherwhere. And I'm going to put this in the bottom of the screen. So I'm going to add a browser source. Or, no, a window capture. What am I doing? Window capture. I think this one? Yes. Pulling up the spreadsheet. Pulling up the spreadsheet, chat. And I'm going to put this down in the corner here. And it's just going to kind of live way down in this corner. But it's for y'all to kind of observe, just to keep this in the corner. Maybe I should put it like up here in the corner. Because there's already not going to be anything up here besides chat if it gets that big. So yeah, let's keep it up here. And then chat, I'll just like crop you out. Not out, but I'll crop you down. There we go. So that way it doesn't like super overlap with this. There we go. Look at that. That's money. Because back when I played Magic, I just don't like 90% of being pointless for constructed. Yeah, so like this is like, so this is why I just 8 hours of that. Well, we're doing it for fun. There's a difference. We're doing it for fun, not for job. For job sucks and is exhausting. We're doing it for fun. There's a difference. I need to turn my fan on. I'm like dying. I'm melting like the Wicked Witch of the East. Okay, we're doing it for science and for fun. So like that about Magic is like one of my biggest like proponents for limited is that without limited, those commons don't have a place to go because the commons are just going to be worse than the rares. And if you don't have a game where there is a specific card type that can exist only at common to fill up that space, you're going to have pack filler, and cards just don't work for constructed. Japanese games just kind of accept that wholeheartedly and just print cards that literally have nowhere to exist, and you throw them straight in the dumpster. You throw them straight in the dumpster. So like that sucks. Shirt smells. That's great. So like limited, having sealed, gives commons a place to exist, and a place to and a place to be played with, which I think is so important. All right, these cards having not a place where like they're good, but when I like having a home to exist in and to be played with. I hate throwing my cardboard away. I'd love to be able to play with it. So yes, one of my favorite formats ever that no TCG outside of Magic does, to my knowledge, is Escalation League, or as I've always referred to it as a Sealed League. I love Sealed League. I think Sealed Leagues are so fun. I would love if UVS gets the if UVS gets to the point where they have like excellent sealed, I would love to do a Sealed League. It'd be the most fun thing ever. Chat, if you've never done a Sealed League before, granted it's most likely because your game of choice doesn't support it, but if you somehow find a TCG that can run a Sealed League, it will be the most fun you'll ever. I'd do it. It's honestly, it's the closest you'll ever get to Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! It is factually the closest anyone will ever get to Playground Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's the best. It's the most fun format ever. It's the most fun format. I love Sealed League, dude. It's so good. It's actually peak format. And I've only ever gotten to do it a couple of times because it was only at my old Magic locals before they closed. They only did it for like certain sets. Yeah, right, but Magic. Yeah, it's the part that sucks, right? It's like, but only really Magic does it. Which it's like, I want another. Give me a different game, dude. Give me another game to do a sealed league with, please. It's so fun. Wasn't there a CV episode where one of the characters built a sealed deck? Built a sealed deck. There are episodes where characters will play out of the box trial decks. They'll buy starter decks and play with them. But I don't think there's an episode of the seal with where they actually build with like a sealed pool. It's always characters busting out trial decks. I think that's different. Yeah, that is different. Yeah. I don't think there's an episode where they play sealed. There are several episodes where they'll play trial decks, but there's none where they do sealed that I can think of. Nah, it's not crossing my mind. Not crossing my mind. Chat, I guess I should also explain for any of the chatters that are unfamiliar what a sealed league is. So a sealed league, or an escalation league, is versus as Ace versus Shion. Yeah, that's like as close as you probably get. So a sealed league or an escalation league is, so in sealed, right, you'll get 6 packs and you build a deck. In sealed league, typically you'll start with 4 packs. Some will do it just straight from 6. You'll start with either 4 or 6 packs, and you'll do a sealed event. You'll open your 6 packs, you build a sealed deck, and you play some games, right? And then you'll log your scores, right? You'll keep track of your record and who you played against. And then the next week when you come back, you get either 1 or typically 2 extra booster packs. And you open those booster packs, and you can add any of the cards you want to your deck. And then you play again. And you keep track of your scores. And typically they'll do this instead of like showing up for events. They'll just have you play throughout the week. So at the start of the week, you'll get 2 packs and you build your deck. And then throughout the week, you just kind of like play your sealed league games with whoever's available in the store whenever you can. And then at the end of each week, you'll get 2 more packs to add to your deck. And then slowly as the weeks go by, you'll go from 40 card sealed decks to eventually the deck limit gets raised to 60 card. And now you're playing with like 60 card sealed decks. And as you get more and more packs each week, your decks will get better and better and better. And so on the last week, you're playing with like kitchen table-y, borderline constructed, like almost standard decks. And it's so fun. It's so fun to just watch your deck slowly improve as you watch other people like either slowly improve their decks, or maybe like in week 3 you open like a crazy rare for a color you're not playing, so you just completely rebuild your deck to be something completely different. It's so fun just to watch people's decks evolve over the course of a league. I love it so much. But only like very few games can really facilitate it, right? Like if you tried to do it with Vanguard, you kind of can't, because like what are you building? All you would do is like you'd start with like, I don't know, the worst version of like whatever archetype ever, and then by the end of the league you'd have like maybe close to a half decent, not barely playable version. You know what I mean? Like your decks wouldn't even improve that much, but they don't really get to evolve. You just get closer to the deck Bushiroad printed free to play, right? Your decks don't really get to like evolve, or like there's no real escalation to the format, right? But in a game like Magic that is designed for sealed, you get to watch decks slowly improve and slowly like become strategies. It's really cool to watch go from like a sealed deck with just like a pile of cards to like an actual like plan. It's really cool. The notice says +5. Yeah, right. Like the decks won't really like improve in a meaningful way, or at least not in a fun way. One Piece. Oh yeah, any Bandai game is like this, because a Bandai is another one of those games where they kind of just print like I know Dragon Ball is really like this. They print the new deck, like every color will have the new deck, maybe 1 or 2 support cards for older decks, and then the rest is pack filler. The rest is straight pack filler. It's a Japanese game thing. Whereas like English games like UVS more so just print like a collection of cards and it's like a toolbox that you are meant to pull from and put together to build things with, right? You don't really like go, I'm gonna take all the Reina cards and put them in a stack. They don't print, or not even that. They don't print the Reina deck. They just print a bunch of cards with Reina on them, and then you can kind of pick which ones you want to play and which ones you don't. Or like Not even put them in Reina. You could put them in literally whoever you want that they have symbols for, right? So that's good. A really, really big difference between like Japanese and American games. Hey, Nectar, how's it going? How you doing, bud? Welcome, welcome. We just finished the box opening. Now we're moving on to the even funner side segment of data collection and analysis. So let's actually. Oh, I punched the mic. All right, let's actually get right into it. So what we're doing today is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. So when this set got announced, and they talked about, and like sealed began getting talked about, there were some cards that people were complaining about. That's one of them, and this is one of them. So, in this set, there is a cycle of foundations. All of them have the exact same line of text. Where, because CAV has a lot of episodes of characters hang out at their locals. Yeah, they have a lot of local, but like, it's because Vanguard is not meant to have sealed. Vanguard is a game where you build the deck and fight people with it. Right? You are not meant to play the game in any sort of limited capacity. It's basically a glorified LCG. Bushiroad prints the deck and you buy the deck. Right? So in every Vanguard episode, it's just characters playing their character deck. Right? It is what it is. Someone just could put, oh, damn, that sucks. Sorry to hear that, bud. Also, I wait for rotation to make Victor. Why can't you make Victor right now? Victor's the GOAT. He's got aura. He's got swag and aura. You just make him now. Because first couple of OG episodes. I mean, yeah, they're great. I do miss when Vanguard was just an episode of people going to their locals. Dogs deck. Oh, okay. So I miss old Vanguard for sure, but it's like that is a show that never could have the characters play sealed because Vanguard, the game was never built to do that, and like literally can't facilitate. Your decks just don't work. That's like the problem. Let me take one more drink of water and then we'll get right into what we're doing today for the rest of the stream. So for the next like hour. So, in this set, there's a cycle of foundations, and they all have the same text on them. They all say, flip, remove 10 cards from your discard pile, add a heat token to your stage. We don't really need to go over what the heat token is. I believe it's on the backs of the characters. Yeah. You don't really need to go over what the heat token is. It's the set mechanic. Heat is a mechanic from Tekken, the video game, the fighting game, and they emulate it in the card game here with this token that you can make. And it lets you do chip damage, basically. It just lets you do chip damage. And then certain cards will either, like, activate effects if this is in your stage, or you can, like, pop the heat token to do stuff, right? So, you know. It's just the set mechanic, and they printed a cycle of foundations that simply say, on your turn, you can flip this over, banish 10 cards out of your graveyard to just make the heat token. So it's a way for everyone to just make the token. Let's put this here. Maybe I'm thinking destroy. Yeah, oh yeah, they do sealed in that. Oh yeah. There's a whole episode. Oh, so not even there's a chapter. So they do a pre-release, and then part of an arc where Hajime goes to. I think they go to Nats. It's either Nats or a regional. There's an entire arc where Hajime just practices sealed and gets really cracked at like Urza Saga Limited, and like destroys a sealed regional. Yeah, that's in Destroy All Humankind. Where Hajime gets like really cracked at like building Rakdos sealed decks in like Urza Saga. It's peak. It's like the greatest manga of all time. Right behind Haikyuu, it's my favorite manga ever. I adore that manga. Yeah, they do a lot of sealed in that manga. It's really good. I think post-rotation Victor will use something from Hellboy or Ulysses this series smells like it. I mean, hopefully. I'm sure he will. I don't doubt that. So people are really not happy with these foundations. Let's see if I can pull out some. So there is one of these foundations on every combination of sims. So actually, I'll explain that in a second. Let me just grab them. This matters. It seems to have more than others. Okay. So all of the characters in the set, as you know, have 3 symbols on them, right? And they're the characters' symbols. You pick one of the symbols, and you play on them, and blah, 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 blah. Heat token should be limited to the characters making it. I don't think it's good enough to. So the problem with the real problem with the I have a video about this. The real problem with the heat token is that the heat token's kind of bad. The heat token's not very good. So it's like, it's not good enough to even warrant limiting it to certain characters. This is just kind of a, you just never really, you don't really want to make this like ever. That's kind of the real problem with it. It doesn't like, it's not good enough to justify the other cards that exist around it. If this card was way better, these would make a lot more sense. But these are kind of bad. So like, if you locked them to the characters, that'd be even worse. You would absolutely never make it, right? This token's not very good. So all the characters have these 3 symbols. For each of the character symbol combination, there is an associated foundation that says flip, remove 10, make a heat token. It's not good, but also it's bags. These foundations suck. So we're going to talk about that, right? So the people's complaint, right, is that these foundations are really bad, right? The heat token's not very good. Banishing 10 cards out of your discard pile is a hefty cost, right? And because there is 1 copy of these on every symbol, every combination of symbols for each of the characters, and they're common, your sealed pools have a lot of them, right? You end up getting a lot of these. Now, all these cards have the same text, right? They have the exact same line of text on them. They're just on each of the characters' different symbol spreads. Yeah, so you end up with a lot of them, and people are unhappy about that. Now, me being Mr. Contrarian Man, I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't mind it. I am not bothered at all by these cards' existence. Maybe because I'm dumb and wrong, right? That could totally be the case. But I am unbothered by these cards existing, right? I think their existence is warranted. I've explained why I think that these cards functioning the way they do makes sense. Is it good? No. I don't think it's supposed to be good. But the people's main complaints I've been hearing, cards throw 6 when you run out of filters, yeah. The main complaints I've been hearing is people go, oh, these foundations are basically blank, and now my sealed pool has a bunch of blank foundations, and it makes my deck building bad. So, I bought 2 boxes, so I now have 8 sealed pools that we are going to go through and see just how many of these, how many chunks of these we open, and how they negatively impact the sealed pool. The second complaint I've been hearing that we're also going to solve with this experiment is people don't like the common and rare character differentiation because they keep getting too many copies of the same common character. So everyone's sealed events was just people playing Eddie Gordo because they all opened 3 Eddie Gordos in their sealed pool and said, well, I have to play Eddie Gordo. So we're also going to use this as an experiment to see what kind of characters you open in a sealed pool, to see if people really are getting stuck with only being able to play Eddie Gordo, or is there something else going on? So we're also going to investigate that. And that's what I have this little spreadsheet up here for. It's to track all of the data that we compile with this. So we're going to see how much bulk we get. The other thing we can track just for fun, there is an attack version of these foundations, where there's also a cycle of attacks that say you remove only 4 cards from your discard pile to put the heat token in your stage. So significantly cheaper and more versatile than these. The only thing is this is on an attack, which is a little more of an ask to activate than a foundation that you just play for basically free that sits in your stage, and whenever you want, you just press the button, make a heat token. This thing you have to draw and play as one of your attacks for the turn, so it's a bit more of an investment, and thus warrants this line of text. Also, all of the attacks are different. They all have different stats, they'll all have different keywords, and they'll all have different difficulties and blocks and stuff. So they are all different cards. They all have the same functionality of making the heat token, of being heat token generators on attacks, but they all do different things. They're much more playable. These are much less of a problem, so we're not going to dedicate that much time to these, because everyone kind of agrees these are fine the way they are. The real problem is these foundations existing, and them being basically blank. It also comes with old foils of cards that were in foil that counterspell with the womp womp looking art. Did you mean to type that in this chat? What? Yes, they are all heat engagers. Yeah, it's very flavorful. Very unflavored. It's all the heat engagers. So these make sense. We're not really going to clock these. We're here to see how many of these we're opening and also what characters we're opening. That's what really matters. So I'm gonna pull out of all of these sealed pools. We're gonna pull out the blank foundations. We're gonna pull out every other foundation, and we're gonna pull out every character, because this is gonna be very important. So we'll start with characters, and then we'll go to the foundations. Yeah, I'll include mine. I'm not gonna include rares, because I think that might just, like, skew numbers. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I'm not gonna include the rares, because I don't think that makes that like changes the numbers in any interesting or meaningful way. Okay. So as we can see, I'm not gonna actually count it out. About roughly a third of our deck, of our options for foundations, are the blank bad heat cards. Foundations protein is 75, so must make it flavorful or so. Yeah. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm gonna check on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 of these. So pool number 1, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna go and we're gonna type in blank foundations. And we're gonna count how many blank foundations every sealed pool has. Oh my god, this microphone is making me mad because of the way the freaking thing bends. Oh, it's so annoying to. I have to like every time I want to go use stuff, I have to be like, Mr. Fantastic, slide my arms out of things. There's got to be a better way to do this, but that's for later me to figure out. So we're counting how many of these exist. I mean, I guess we can do it comparatively to normal foundations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 11, 18. Someone do the math on what percentile that is. Regular 18. Right? Because a big complaint people were saying is like, oh, half my foundation base is blank cards that don't do anything. Which to that I think is totally fine. Because my stance is that sealed is not a competitive format, because your deck's strength is entirely dependent on just what you open. You don't have a lot of control over what you can do in a sealed format. It's not an inherently competitive sealed format. How many cards are there? Because it's about 65% if I don't suck at math. Yeah. 18, so 20, there's 29. 29, 11 out of 29. Kind of that, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 18. And then this is 11, so yeah. 11 out of 29. So a little under a third. Yeah. Over a third. A little over a third. It's like barely over a third. So IMO, in my opinion, sealed is not a competitive format. But it is the best format for new players, because new players don't have to build a deck. They don't have to have anything. They can show up to the event completely empty-handed and be able to play the game with everybody else. So it's an incredible new player format for getting cards in their hands, right? Showing them a little bit of how to build a deck. Like 60, yeah, about that. Probably like 32% blanks. 32, 33% blanks. Showing them like, now you don't need to know how to build a deck. You can just shove stuff together and be fine, right? But if you want to, you can learn a bit about it, and like people at the locals will help you. Because again, pre-release, inherently casual form, like inherently like not even casual, inherently laid back and chill format. You're just going to a pre-release to have fun, to play with the new cards, right? So people should inherently be more down to help new players out, be more patient with them, and let them figure the game out, right? So it's a good place for new players to go, just kind of experience playing the game in person across the table from another person, right? Because it's a very chill, relaxed environment. 60, okay, so 37%. All right, cool. It's a very chill and relaxed environment, right? So it's great for new players. I think something good for new players is having some blank foundations. One of the problems in UVS is that you can get kind of analysis paralysis very easily. Once you've played a couple of build turns, right, and your stage looks like this. Let's say you have a 7 foundation stage. Every time your opponent plays a card, you got to be like, okay, oh shoot, what can I do? And you have to go back through and read every single one of these foundations. Now, for someone who's been playing the game for years, this is normal and a part of the game. It doesn't matter. But for a new player, on every attack, having to remind themselves of like, oh yeah, right, what is in my stage? What can I do? That can really bog down a new player, right? They don't even get to make the like, do I block this or not decision. What you have to spend 5 minutes being like, okay, this is the, okay, so this works. Okay, so that's extra. Okay. Enhance this -2 speed. Okay, so I can give it, okay, I can minus speed, and then this, okay, attack, it's, this attack, it's +1 or minus speed for red and purple. Okay. You can commit, sacrifice 1 foundation. This attack, it's +3. So you commit, sacrifice a foundation, and you can give this -3. Okay, so I have a lot of speed removal. I make that take, and they have to use like every attack. It takes forever. It takes all the time. It takes forever. What if, hear me out, half of the foundations, or these ones? The worst part too is, sorry, I didn't even get to the main point. So not only, right, do you have to like read all these, but now let's say you want to play an attack or even play a block, right? And you it's on a 5 and you check a 3, and now you have to commit 2 foundations, and your opponent, and you have to remember like, wait, whatever you commit, the text turns off. So you have to go read every foundation to make sure you're not committing the one you need to use later in the turn, right? So you have to go read everything to make sure you're committing the right foundation. So it's not even like double checking for the sake of it. Every time you commit a foundation, you have to read it to make sure that it is the effect you want to turn off, right? So every time you need to commit foundations for anything to pass any kind of check, a new player has to go through and read all of them and then think about if they need it or not during the turn. That's a lot for new people to do. Now, what if, hear me out, half of your foundations were these? All right? Now, when it comes time for a new player to start committing foundations, what you can do is be like, all right, check this out. We're going to take your foundations and we're going to split them into 2 piles. These ones you're just going to use for committing. Anytime you need to commit to pass a check, just tap these. Don't even think of it, just commit these. These ones, these are going to be the ones that we're going to read and we're going to use to play the game, right? This takes the load, like this takes so much load off of new players. Being able to be like, hey, we're going to take half your foundations, right? They're basically just going to be like, it's the same thing you do with face down foundations. We're like, we're just going to have your foundations. These are just for committing. Anytime you need to pass a check, we just commit these. You don't even have to worry about the, oh shoot, once this is committed, I can't activate the response off of it, so now I have to figure out if I'm going to need the response. Like, you don't know if you're going to need the response later. You barely know how to block a high attack, right? So we're just going to take these, we're going to put them off to the side, and you're just going to use these to commit your checks. And then these ones, now you only have to read 4 cards, and these ones are what we're going to read. And these are what we're going to use to play the game. And this is how you're going to learn how like responses and enhances work, is by just activating these cards over and over again. These are just for committing. And then they still get to engage with the part of the game, because maybe once they've played a full turn and they've already committed these, now if they want to extend and play more, okay, now we drift into having to commit our important cards territory. So players still get to like engage with the important decision making of the game, while also being able to get there by just playing, right? They get to play attacks, they get to block attacks, and then it's not until they've played a lot of attacks that now they get to make it to this decision tree, where now that they've played a lot of attacks, they understand how attacks work and when they want to play certain attacks and how zones and speed and everything works. Now they have a much better understanding of how committing certain foundations impacts their effects, right? Where they're like, okay, I don't have like a great one, but if you're like, all right, the attack I'm playing right now is really fast, and I have a card that gives it speed, but I think it's already really fast, so I'm just going to commit the card that gives speed, because I don't think I need that for the rest of this turn. This is also probably my last attack for the turn, right? It makes the decision way more easy than on the first attack having to be like, all right, read all of this, figure out what you don't want for the entire turn. And they're like, oh. So I think having some blank foundations is kind of a good thing. I think it's okay. Sealed formats don't need to be the most, like, intense, like, skill-intensive, high-powered format ever. It's okay if some of your foundations suck. So, what I really want to take a look at is, like, where's the math? Because if it's like, if this stack is the blank foundations, okay, that's kind of bad, right? But this stack being the blank foundations, I think is okay. Half your foundation, you know what I mean? You're playing a 40 card deck. Yeah, it's 40 card sealed decks. So you're playing about 25 foundations. Yeah, 25 foundations. Even if you played all of these, that's still not even half of your foundations. Even if you played every single blank foundation, that's still not even half. So like I failed to see where this is like a real legitimate problem. It's like less than half of your foundations are blank. Like, yeah, that's not the most that's not the most competitive thing of all time. Like, I get that, but like that's kind of what this format is meant to be. And I think it's just I think it's a case of some people just don't like sealed. And that's okay. Sealed is not a format that's really meant to be like super super loved, you know? A lot of people don't like sealed, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think I think wishing for sealed to be something that it is just inherently not is a little silly, right? So I think this is fine. So I'm testing out if this is really a problem. So in this sealed pool, less than half of your foundations are the blank ones. I think that's totally okay. I think that's fine. So this we're gonna give this sealed pool a pass, right? I think that like passes the test. Success. And then also, I mean, there's some probably rare foundations we opened or something. I don't know. That passes the test. Moving on. Like, bare minimum, if you wanted to, you could get away with playing, it's what? 11 blank foundation, like 8, you have 18 regular ones. You only need to play 7 blank ones just to hit the legal limit. You're really, we're gonna whine about playing 7, and they're not even like blank. Like, you can activate them. No, do you always want to? No, not really. But really, 7 blank foundations, we're really gonna, is that big of a deal? We can't play 7 blank foundations in a sealed deck? Like, come on. Wish they made Miguel for it as a guest character now more and more with everything that's happening. Yeah, it would have been cool. Now let's look at our characters. So theoretically, our sealed pool should have a healthy amount of common characters, 1 or 2 rare ones that probably aren't the best in sealed. So let's sort it out. We have a common character. We have Eddie Gordo. We have Victor Chevalier, who is a rare character because he needs a lot of assets to work. And if you don't have a lot of assets, it's not very valuable. So he's a rare character. You're not going to see a lot of them. So he goes over here. We have another rare character, Lars Alexanderson. He needs you to be able to build foundations during the combat phase. If you can't build a lot of foundations during the combat phase, the benefits of his effects kind of get diminished. He's not a bad character. I think he's still better than Victor, because you can just use his enhance, right, to just build a foundation. But still not the greatest thing ever. We have a common character. We have Asuka Kazama. We have a common character, Reina. And then we have a second copy of Reina. Now, people were complaining that they would get like 3 copies of Reina and 3 copies of Eddie Gordo. And we're like, oh no, I have no choice in the character I play. That's probably just like a distribute. If that does happen, I think it's more of a distribution issue than a actual like the characters having rarity issue. I think that's a distribution problem, right? I think this is on the higher end. I think this might be on the higher end of seeing rare characters. I think it's supposed to look more something like this, where you see some commons and 1 rare. But like, I don't think 3 options for characters is too small. Like, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I've played too many roguelikes where pick 3 is the typical question you're asked. You know, like, maybe I've played too many pick 3 games, pick 1 of 3 games, but like pick 1 of 3 is a pretty typical like choice. Like, it's not normally viewed as like that's too little choice. I need more things to pick from. 3, only 3, that's too little. I think 3 is a fine enough decision for a character you're going to play in your sealed deck. And it's not like you can't pick the rares. You can. The thing with the rares is that it's going to be a little harder to get these to really work as it is to get these. These characters are going to be a lot easier to make work and get value out of. Getting the same value out of these characters is going to be a lot harder, and you're going to need a sealed pool that's a little more skewed towards it. These characters you can get good value out of sort of in any situation. That's why they're commons, right? So like, maybe I'm weird, but for me, the choice between Reina, Asuka, and Eddie, I think is fine. I think that's enough choices. That's like a meaningful enough choice of like you have three characters to pick from. Technically five, but for the sake of argument, let's toss out the rare characters. Let's say it's three. I have three characters to pick from. I think that's a totally good number of characters to pick from. Right? I seen it. Could it have been six completely different characters? Sure, but is like, again, format that should be geared towards new players. Do you want to give people that much analysis paralysis of like, here's six guys you can pick from, you only play one? All right, it's like when you boot up the fighting game menu for the first time, there's 32 characters on the roster and someone says pick your favorite. You're like, dude, I don't know what any of them do, and there's 32 of them. What do you mean pick my favorite? Right? I think this is a much simpler decision for players. I think that's important. I think it is supposed to be this way, right? I don't think you're supposed to be able to pick out of six characters. You're like, and even if you do, right, you pick one character and then all you get to have there's like, you play the entire tournament going, oh man, there's five other characters I could have played, man. Who knows how that could have gone? I don't know about you, but that sounds like a poopy thing to think about. I would much rather be like, oh man, I'm going to play Reina. Oh, shoot, I could have played Oscar or Eddie. And if I want the sample size, most pre-releases are 3 rounds, right? So if I really want a sample size, I can play 1 round on Reina, I can play 1 round on Oscar, and I can play 1 round on Eddie. And that's all my characters. And that's me being able to play the entire pool. Maybe I want to get really greedy and gimmicky and try out one of the rare characters. Is it going to work out? Probably not. That's why they're rares, right? But if I want to try out a breadth of characters, I can play 3 different characters in 3 different rounds, right? So I saw people complaining that was like there's too little like lack of choice. It's like I don't agree. Or maybe I just think you're greedy for wanting that many choices, but like I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Chat, tell me if I'm crazy, right? Am I completely off the mark? Is this a whim? Is this a bad take, chat? But I think I think it's totally fine. So we're gonna see. How do we want to tally it? Do I want to tally each individual character, or do I want to do just quantity of differently named comments? So we would mark this as like 3 common characters, right? Just to make just to count, because we're just counting how many choices you have access to. That's the real crux of the argument. Is people are like, I don't get to choose who I play, right? Like, oh man, you get 3 choices instead of 6. Is that really that different? So we're gonna go characters. We'll do common characters. So pool number 1 had 3. So sealed pool number 1 had 11 blank foundations and 3 common characters. Right? 11 out of 28 foundations. Maybe that's how I'll tally it. I'll just do like 11 out of 28. Or 29, sorry. We'll do it like this. 11 out of 29. That's an easier way to view it. Because then I can also get like a percentile out of that. I'm bad at this. There we go. Then we'll be able to get a percentile out of it. And I can just mark it with the percentile. Even though I don't think that I think percentiles are tough because they can often be really misleading. Right? Percentiles are rough because sometimes they can look like more than they really are. Right? Because even like Nepter, what you're saying with like 37%, that sounds kind of high, right? Like 37% of the pool, that's almost 40%, and that's almost half. That's pretty bad. But when you say it as like it's less than half of the foundations in your deck, that sounds a lot more reasonable. Which 37% is less than half. So I don't know how exactly I want to tell. Yeah, I want to skew the data to better fit my narrative. Is that so wrong? Right? Is that crazy? I don't know. Maybe it is. But I do want a way to present it that makes it like appeal as not like realistically as possible, because that would just be a percentile, but more like as comprehensible as possible, if that makes sense. It's sort of like the problem of saying like, picture 1 million people in a room. You physically can't do it. Your brain cannot compute 1 million individual people in one room. Like your brain doesn't have that kind of processing power. So large numbers are really hard for people to comprehend. similar situation with like percentiles of like comprehending like some people like straight up can't comprehend a percentile, right? So I want to put it in a format that's like as comprehensive as possible. Because to me, I see it, I'm like, it's less than half the foundations. Like, you're playing 25 foundations in a deck. Even if you maxed out on these, which you don't have to do, right? Even if you maxed out on them, you'd still be under half your foundations, right? You have to play a minimum of 7 of them. 7 out of 25. To me, that doesn't seem like that big a deal. To me, that just doesn't seem like that big a deal. Maybe I'm crazy, but it's not that big a deal. I am also curious too if it is a if there were messed up ratios with specifically the pre-release kits and the actual booster packs have a better distribution. Like I am curious if that is the case. And like maybe they like the pre-release kits just had like the packs and the kits had like a really skewed distribution rate. I don't know. But that's why I wanted to be like, I looked at 8 sealed pools. Because you get a lot of like, right, when people just kind of talk about it, you only get the anecdotal evidence from people's individual sealed experiences and like the locals around them, right? I feel like the smoothest way to like break it down is just like, I have 8 sealed pools in front of me. I am looking at them live. Here's the data. You know what I mean? I think that's the simplest way to do it. So sealed pool number 2, a little slimmer on the blanks. We only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 blanks out of, so 7, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 blanks out of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. 8 out of 31. So this sealed pool is great. Look at that. 8 out of 31 blanks. That's a great sealed pool. So by doing this data with 8 different sealed pools, we'll also get to see where outliers are. Right? Is the 15 blank foundation sealed pools, is that a common occurrence or is that an outlier? Because that matters. Right? So this was 8 out of 32, which isn't too far off from 11 out of 29. Right? It's just like a bit bigger in both directions. Is less of the blanks and more base foundations, right? But it's like close. And why isn't it moving over to the side? Why is it on the left? Why is this on the right? And this, oh, because it thinks it's a date? Oh, it thinks it's a date because it's 11/20. It's October. It's November 29th. Oh, that's really annoying. I don't like that at all. What if I did like 8:30 and then changed it to 8:32? This is such a janky... No, it doesn't work. Oh, that's so lame. Why... Come on, Google Sheets. Why is it programmed like that? Ah, whatever. Whatever. And then common characters, I was seeing a lot. So in this pool, you want options. Here are your freaking options. We got Sergei Dragunov. We got Eddie Gordo, Kazuya Mishima, Rare Yoshimitsu, Heihachi, and Asuka. All right, well, there's your 5 freaking options that people wanted so bad. There's your 5 Now, see, if I was a new player, I'd be like, who do I pick? There's 5. I just pick the coolest one, pick the coolest person, but there's still 5. What if they're all cool? I think Asuka, Kazuya, Heihachi, and okay, that might be. Well, hold on. They're all cool. They're all cool. That's the problem. They're all cool. Asuka, I think, is sick. This guy's got aura. Kazuya's got aura. Eddie's got swag. Dragunov's got aura. Like, I think they're all cool. But that's 5 characters. 5 whole characters. Boom. That's probably upper limit, right? It's probably going to be a bit of an upper limit. But I made sure to open these packs in order, sort of, because that's probably how they would be distributed if you did an actual sealed event. No, this is a different kind of card. It's a different kind of flip to Mickey token card. It is a specifically Lars card. But, I don't know, chat, do you like doing the more nitty-gritty number crunchy? I don't know if I would call it nitty-gritty number crunchy. Let's be so for real. I'm counting how many foundations are in a stack. Like, let's be so real. But do you enjoy doing this? I kind of like it. But I think I like it in the way that I like Satisfactory for the first like hour, where you're doing like really simple stuff, but it feels like you're doing things like, oh, this is so fun and cute. But the second you have to do anything remotely complex, I'm like, ah, no, I'm done. I'm done. That's too hard. That's too much for me. That's too much brain. I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay. I like doing the Fisher Price babies first, like, I'm analyzing data. I'm doing data analysis. Right? Oh, I missed a character, didn't I? I missed a character. I like doing that, but the second it becomes any sort of difficult, I'm immediately like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 9 out of 28. There. In pool number 3. 9 out of 28. Pretty close to pool 1. And then for common characters, I think we have another pretty big suite. 1, 2, a 3. Hwarang is a rare because he needs a lot of kicks. A 4. And then another copy of Heihachi's. This is 4 characters to pick from. 4 characters. Boom. Bada bing. Alright. Seal pool number 4. Down. This goes here, this goes there, that goes there. This also, like, low-key... I just realized this is also like already low-key sorting half the set, so that's kind of nice. That I get to get like half the sorting out of the way right now. Because I will be building some decks out of these for sure. To at least either teach to people or to just like jam at locals for fun. Just for fun. That's not one of the generic ones. This is one of the generic ones. I almost was about to say we're looking really light on them, and then I hit like a bunch back to back. Does this count? I'm gonna see if that counts. That might, because I think this eats the character slot. Okay. So, I'm dropping everything. All right, there we go. So we have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, 8, a 9. Another 9. Out of, I should have just counted it here. 9. This seems kind of light. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. 9 out of 27. Little lighter on the foundation side. 27 is pretty low. You're going to have to just kind of shuffle those together and slam them. That's not super ideal. Yeah. It could also be the case that just the math on... Did I say 29 again? I think I said 29. Yeah. The math on the pack structure... Also, the packs being 10 cards really hurts. A big factor of this, too, is packs being 10 cards. Just kind of how it is. So, Nina's a rare. Common characters. 1, 2, copy, 3, a copy. Still, 3 to choose from. That's what we're aiming for. I think as long as there's 3, that is enough of a choice. And now I can pull this out and put it off to the side. To put in a binder later. 3. Skill 1, how worth it is it to spend a day's worth of work on this? What? How worth it? Like on what I'm doing right now? Like getting these numbers and stuff? I mean, how worth it is it? I mean, how worth it is it to make and post a YouTube video? You know? I think the answer is the same. It depends on, like, right? It depends on why you're doing it. Are you doing it for work? Or are you doing it for the love of the game? And I think depending on your answer, or depending on your reason, you'll have your answer. Right? Whoops. You know what I mean? Like, how worth it is it? I can't really give it a scale. I say, like, if I guess, like, if you know how to, like, how worth it, a 10. Because I want to know. Right? I want to know, are people complaining justifiably? Or are people blowing smoke? Or maybe, like, there's a different reason. The best, honestly, the best answer to the scenario, like, when people complain about anything, right? the best there, I thought I missed one. The best explanation is always there's a secret underlying reason that no one is talking about that we need to point out, and that's what actually should be being addressed, right? In my opinion, that's always the best scenario and best outcome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another niner. So the ratios are looking pretty, at least like not fixed, but they're pretty similar. 9, and then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Ooh, out of 26. That's a really slim. That's a slim one. 9 out of 26. So the amount of blanks you're getting is pretty similar. The real thing is you're not always getting the same amount of foundations. And then this one was a weird common one. We just got 2 copies of each. But I think 3 characters is a totally fine enough decision to make. Let me grab this stack, because it's going to get harder to grab. There we go. Swap with this. And then this is another 3. Cool. Pull number 6. But yeah, I mean, how worth it is it? Comes down to the reason why you're doing it in the first place. And nothing else. It comes down to why you're doing it in the first place. Right? I'm doing it because I want to know. I want to have factual evidence in front of me. Because I didn't get to go to my locals didn't do a pre-release. So I didn't actually get to play in a pre-release to find out. I have to do it this way. But I do think but hopefully there's a silver lining of like maybe I get more data doing it this way. Instead of being like, I opened 1 sealed pool, this is what my sealed pool was like. Instead, I get to be like, I opened 8. Right? And you can also be like, well, sure, but you can also open 8. You can also technically open 8 by asking other people at your locals what they opened, right? But I think you might end up accidentally, if you don't look at their pools, you might accidentally end up getting a lot of anecdotal experiences that might skew your data. Oh, well, I meant money. Oh, well, I did that entire rant for nothing. Well, hopefully it was still valuable information. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. I'll answer that in 1 second. 11 out of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 29 again. This is looking pretty good. I'm happy where this is lining up. For the most part. And let me do the characters really quick. So Yoshi's a rare. Such a sick, dude, that's such a cool alt. Oh my gosh, it looks awesome. Alyssa's a rare. And we have 1. Oh, another rare. Oh, this is a really heavy rare. Heavy rare pack, but still got 3 options, which is my bare minimum for success. And that's something you can't play these. You totally could. Now, it may not be recommended. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have a pool maybe you have a sealed pool that supports it. You never know. That's not really the point. How much money on buying the game? Okay, so I would answer it the same way. It depends on your reason. What are you buying the game for? Right? Are you trying to rip wrappers to make money back? Right? Or do you want cards to build decks with? Right? To play the game? And then to answer that question, to what extent are you trying to play the game? Do you just want to play casually at locals? So you just want a bunch of cards to build with? Or do you want to play competitively? In which case, the answer is always going to be buy singles if you want to play competitively. That is the cheapest way to do it. Right? If you're just trying to rip wrappers to make money, there are way better games to do it, but there are also way worse games to do it. UVS is a weird game. It is, how do I want to say this? It is oddly expensive for how not popular the game is, and that is because it suffers from this very unique problem of there is not a ton of demand, but even less supply. No one opens this game because not a lot of people play it, right? Not a lot of people play the game, so no one opens it, which means, and a majority of the player base is pretty competitive. Oh, dude, look at this alt art. That looks so sick. A majority of the player base is fairly competitive, which means that once a good card comes out, once a good competitive card comes out that is like generically playable, that card is $30, right? Like I think I opened one. In this set, it's Demonic Catastrophe. This SR is really freaking good. So it's $40 for like the base rare. It's a $40 base rare. Um, but this game, much like current Magic based rarities, is very feast or famine. So it's a lot like Magic, where a modern Magic set will have like one $40 mythic, and then it quickly drops down to like some $15 cards, then like a $10 card, and then a bunch of $5 and $3 cards. This game's pretty similar. For the most part, it's really cheap, but the cards that are good, that see play everywhere, are really expensive. Like, they're like $60 a piece. And the older they are, the harder they are to find because those sets are out of print. And again, no one opened them. So the copies that are on the market are kind of just what's on the market. It's really awkward. So competitively, the game's actually very expensive, which is why I would like to see them push more towards casual play and casual formats, because the competitive stuff is not only really expensive, but it's borderline unavailable. So that's kind of a stinker. I'm on a quest to try every CG ever, so I just try to get enough cards to full experience. Go buy. I mean, for that, it depends on what you describe as a full experience. If you consider like playing with cards from a booster pack like necessary for that, but if you just want to play the game, if you like the fullest experience, just go buy some challenger decks. The challenger decks are they're right between a starter deck and like a deck you'd play at locals. They are strong enough to take to locals and not get exploded, but they're not like the best thing. They're not extremely competitively viable, but they are competent enough to play at locals and get a good experience of the game, right? I would argue a challenger deck is probably better than if you just bought one box and built a deck out of a box. But also it depends on like the experience you're trying to go for too, right? Like building up some slop, like some, not slop, but you know what I mean? Some like for fun of decks out of a box is a different experience than picking up a challenger deck, than picking up a precon, right? So it depends on what kind of experience you like want. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have yet to beat the 11. And I was hearing tales of people getting like 14. So I don't know what that was about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It's 11 out of 31. So that's also a very good ratio. 31. A little bit over 30%. That's also a date, so it's going to... Oh, I put it in the wrong box. But it's also a date, so it's going to get moved to the... What the... I should move it right. There we go. It's also going to get moved over. Oh, I didn't put in the character. That's why I was confused. Okay. The characters for this pool, we have 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 4. On the slightly higher end. And then we have one last sealed pool to go through before we can start analyzing the data. Ooh. I might just make this stream clip the video. I don't think it needs an entire video. I think just looking at the spreadsheet is enough. And kind of yapping. I'll cut it down so it's more watchable, but I don't think it needs it's like a fully filmed, edited video to get the point across. Because I've already made a video about the topic. I think this works more as like a follow-up to that video. Like, all right, I've talked about like why I think like conceptually these cards are fine. Let's actually break down the math and see what their actual impact is on sealed. Now, granted, this is an 8 pre-release kits, so it's entirely possible that the issue with these is contained to the pre-release kits. Maybe the packs in the pre-release kits accidentally got their collation a little bit messed up, and they skew a little heavily towards the common blank foundations, right? That's entirely possible. But I am just using the tools that I have available to me to do this. So we'll see. This one looks really light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. Only 7. Is that the lowest one yet? That's the lowest one yet. 7 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23. 7 out of 30. Dang. So you can get some pretty light ones. Okay. That there. Slide my arm back under. And then for characters, we have a 1 rare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another 5er. 5 common characters. Boom. There we go. That is that. Let's go on over. Let's go to the spreadsheet and look at some data. Come along on this journey. If I just hit this, will it work? Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, can I zoom into this at all? I should be able to, right? Yeah. This, whoops. Okay. So this is what we are left with. So, in every single sealed pool, the maximum amount of blank foundations we found was 11. And that is 11 out of, there's about 4 of them, right? 3 of them. 3 out of 8 had 11. Then 3 had 9, and then 1 had 8, and 1 had 7. So you're going to get roughly around, typically, 9 to 11, sometimes skewing lower to like 8 and all the way down to 7. And then the amount of foundations you get is kind of what varies the most. We've seen as low as 26 and as high as 32. As high as 32. So that's a 6 foundation difference. So the amount of foundations you can get can be a little varied. But for the most part, the ratio of these cards seems to be pretty much about the same. Like, this is about what when these foundations were described to me, this is kind of the ratio that I was assuming / expecting. Is a little bit, about a third, a little higher, a little lower, right? The only pool that's a little rough is pool number 5, where we only got 26 foundations. And you need to play about 25 in your 40 card deck, 25 foundations, 15 attacks. Now, granted, you can cut some foundations for actions and assets, right? But let's say we're playing 25. That means we need to play, what was it? 9 out of 26. You have about 17. Yeah, so we would need to play 8 of our, 8, yeah. So we would need to play 8 of our blank foundations. But 8 out of 25 blank foundations that bad? Is it that crazy? Right? I think the most blank foundations that we are forced to play in any of these sealed pools is 8. So that really good deal. So having 8 out of 25 foundations be blank, is it that bad? And they're all 1 diffs with 2 mid blocks. Like, these are cards that are not, and they're all, it's not like they're like 2 diffs that'll clog your hand. It's not like they have terrible block zones. You're always going to be able to block with them, right? They're 5 checks. They're 5, right? 5 control. Is that so bad in a sealed format to have those? I think not. Call me crazy. I don't think that's that bad. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something wild, right? It's totally possible. But I don't think that's that big a deal. And then to the character things, where it feels like you get 1 character to play with. Every single pool had at least 3 options. And if 3 options isn't enough for you, right? If decades of roguelikes and pick one of 3 options games being semi-popular isn't enough to convey that 3 is a satisfactory amount of things to pick between for a satisfactory decision, right? 3 is like the bare minimum requirement for a satisfactory decision to have been made. You know what I mean? I don't think having to pick from 3 characters is a problem. Look at every Flesh and Blood set has 3 characters maximum in it. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the characters, with the common characters either. I think this is totally fine, right? So, like, sure. Oh man, some of my foundations are blind. Now, granted, like, yeah, I can't use them in Constructed, right? I think Universe's players are more spoiled than any other card game on the planet, because every other card game on the planet has baskets upon like dumpsters that you can fill with unplayable commons and uncommons, right? Cards that only exist like cards that only can really be used in limited formats like Sealed and Draft. I think UVS players have it better than literally everybody. So, when I see, oh no, there's a set with some blank foundations in it, to me, that's not that big of a deal. That's actually more normal, right? I think it's more crazy to expect every single common to be playable. I think one of UVS's strengths is that it's a game where that can be facilitated, right? Every common can be played. Every common has the capacity to be playable because of how foundations work. I think that's a strength of the game. But I don't think having a third of the cards be blank is that bad, right? I don't think it's that crazy. And remember, I'm talking about this from purely the perspective of Sealed, not Constructed, right? We're not talking about that. We're talking about Sealed. Now, if we want to talk about Constructed, sure, like I bought a box. If you're buying cards for Constructed, always buy Sealed. If you're buying cards for Constructed, always buy singles. That will always be the more cost-effective option, right? So people are like, I opened a box and I got a bunch of blank foundations. It's like, okay. You also open a box and got like one good SR. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's what opening a box is like. I get it. But it's like, oh, it sucks that like some of my cards are blank where in other sets they otherwise wouldn't be. I understand that, right? Don't get it twisted. I get that. But when you look at every other game on the market, like y'all have it really, really good comparatively. I don't think this is that big of a deal, right? I'm sorry that not every single common in the set can be constructed playable. I think it's impressive if that has ever been able to be the case. I think that's more of a feat than it is like a baseline feature to be expected, right? I think having some blank foundations is fine. I think it could, like, you could almost make the argument that it could be bad for a game to have too many playables. Because now, like, how do you keep printing sets, right? Like, this is why... Oh, mind my hair. Yikes. Like, this is why UVS has rotation, right? They can't keep printing sets and keep getting people to buy cards because, A, the game isn't IP locked. If the game was IP locked, you could just keep printing sets because it's just new decks for people to build. But the game isn't IP locked. So once the best thing exists, the only way to really get people to buy things that aren't that best thing is things that are either better or on par with it. And you can't just keep making cards on par with each other forever. That isn't feasible. You have to either A, print cards that are better, or rotate the cards that are good out to make room for new cards that are just as good. Those are your only two options, basically, right? It varies game to game. Some games are better at doing one than the other, right? But for the most part, those are your two options. And it's why UVS rotates. It's not feasible for them to continuously print sets with cards that are on par / better than previous cards, especially when you want all 180 cards to be playable, right? Japanese games get to not care. They printed a deck that consists of like maybe 10 cards every set, and like that's all they have to worry about being playable. The rest of the cards in the set are like trash that you throw away, right? Most games don't have 180 constructed playable cards in their sets. Most games have about 60, maybe a little bit more, right? And then like Magic might be a number. I don't even know what the Magic number would be, but it would not be 180, right? It is very, very rare for a game to have 180 playable cards in every set. Like asking someone to design 180 constructed playable cards is such a tall ask, man. And maybe UVS is better suited for it, and they've been doing it for a while, so they're fully capable of doing it. I get that. But I think I just don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. Maybe that's what it is at the end of the day. It's maybe I'm just the crazy contrarian, and it just comes down to I don't have a problem with it, right? But I think looking at the numbers, I feel a lot more confident in my not having a problem with it. I think it's not that big of a deal. I've heard the tales of people getting like 14 of these in their sealed pool, right? But even if we did that, right? Even if we bumped, let's say we bumped this pool, we'll take the worst pool, lowest pool, pool 5, 26 foundations. Let's say we bump that up to 15, right? You'd get 11 out of 25, so you'd have to play 14 of your foundations, right? So that'd be not very great, right? That wouldn't be good. And I get that. But from my anecdotal data of 8 sealed pools, built from booster boxes, not pre-release kits, from my anecdotal data, haven't seen that outlier. So again, my data also is anecdotal technically. It's not that much. It's 2 boxes worth of sealed pools, and it's booster boxes. The correlation could be different in those, right? It might have just been a pre-release only issue that can be fixed in the future, right? If they really like lock it down, right? But seeing this, I think I am on the side of people are overreacting to it. But that's just me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. But with that being said, thank you for watching me talk about numbers. Because I guess hopefully people like that. Probably won't. Probably don't like that. But it was fun for me to do, so it's going on the channel. Because that's how the channel works. If I like doing it, I will film it and put it on the channel. But yeah, thank you guys. Yeah. Cool. All right. And speaking of, that's also gonna do it for today's stream. I think we're gonna call, because that's been it's been a solid 3 hours. It's been a good 3 hours. Chat, thank you so much for coming by. I hope that was at least mildly entertaining. I hope the UVS fans, if there were any in here, enjoyed the box open. Who doesn't like ripping rappers? Who doesn't like ripping? Look at the alts we got. The alt characters we got. Dude, the alt characters, these look cool. These are sick. I'm a big fan of these. Me likey. But, yeah. With that being said, chat, thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you tomorrow, where we're bringing back the old classic, some Rainbow Six Siege gaming, where we will also be joined by some special guests. Hopefully. It might just be one special guest. The other one's a little flaky. But hopefully, I will have some very special guests with me, and we'll be able to have a good old time. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. See you tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.